from the Office of the Auditor General, mainly on the financial statements of various county governments in regards to how the county governments in question utilized monies allocated to them for the financial year ending 30th of June 2025. Remember, the Office of the Auditor General is tasked with the responsibility of auditing our county governments, and upon the conclusion of that audit by its own auditors, that report is forwarded to the Auditor General, who in return forwards that message to Parliament. And upon the receipt of the report from the Office of the Auditor General, the reports are usually tabled before they are handled by the relevant standing committees of the Senate. And in this case, they are the County Public Accounts Committee and the County Public Investments Committee, who in return invites our county governments to appear before the relevant committees to explain issues that may have been flagged by the Office of the Auditor General. The declaration of road traffic accidents in Kenya as a national disaster is a motion coming up for debate this morning. It is a motion by nominated Senator Veronica Maina. In her motion, the senator notes that Article 43 of the Constitution guarantees the right to the highest attainable standards of health, including emergency medical treatment, and that Article 21, subsection 1 of the Constitution obligates the state as well as all state organs to observe, respect, protect, promote, as well as fulfill the rights and fundamental freedoms contained under the Bill of Rights. Bill on Rights in Kenya is a bill that spells out the rights that are entitled to Kenyans. But when we narrow it down to the motion on the declaration of road accidents in Kenya as a national disaster, as the senator is seeking to have the Senate consider and equally resolve, she wants the Senate to consider a number of issues. Among them is that in the year 2025, more than 4,400 Kenyans lost their lives, with over 17,000 injuries from road crashes, a 3% increase from or over the previous year. 400 people were killed in a road accident in the month of July 2026 alone, and this is representing 11% increase compared to the same period in the previous year. And this, according to the senator, is illustrating a continuous trend in the preventable loss of life. The senator is concerned that beyond loss of life, road accidents result in long-term disability, psychological trauma, family disruption, and a significant economic loss, with estimates suggesting losses amounting to billions of shillings annually to the national economy, while placing a severe strain on the health facilities who are required to provide emergency services and proper care of those who may find themselves to have been involved in road traffic accidents. The senator is further concerned that despite the existence of the National Road Safety Action Plan that spans from the year 2024 all the way to 2028 and other statutory measures, road carnage persists due to preliminary causes, including overspeeding, impaired and distracted driving, non-compliance with traffic laws, inadequate driver training, and unsafe road infrastructure. She goes ahead to mention the issues of unroadworthy and overloaded vehicles that contribute to these cases. And in this motion that the senators are set to debate this motion, Senator Veronica Maina is seeking to have the Senate resolve that road traffic accidents in Kenya be declared a national disaster, requiring urgent, coordinated, as well as sustained multi-sectoral interventions across prevention, emergency response, rehabilitation, and long-term systematic reforms. The other resolution is that the Ministry of Roads and Transport, as well as the Ministry of Education, in conjunction with the National Transport and Safety Authority, the National Police Service, and the Council of Governors, do urgently strengthen the implementation of the National Road Safety Action Plan of the year 2024 all the way to 2028, basically an implementation plan over 5 years, in which the implementation plan includes the issues of enhancement of enforcement of traffic laws, safer road designs, public education, and data-driven interventions, and improved emergency response capacity. Under this motion, in the event that the House vote in support of it, the Ministry of Health, in collaboration with the county governments, are also required to set aside adequate resources to support road safety interventions, emergency medical services, trauma center systems, and post-crash rehabilitation services. That's not all, as the Ministry of Treasury, in collaboration with the Ministry of Roads and Transport, is also required to establish a road safety disaster response fund to support road safety interventions, to also support victims and families affected in the road accidents. After the consideration of the motion by Senator Veronica Maina, the Senate will be moving to consider the report of the proceedings of the artificial intelligence, popularly known as AI. This was the proceedings of the Artificial Intelligence Conference on the role of Parliament in the shaping of the future of responsible AI, held from the 28th to 30th of November in the year 2025 in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. This is a motion by Senator for Kitui County, Senator Enoch Wambua.
Order, honorable senators, we do have quorum now. Clerk, you may call the first order.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
The Senate Majority Leader.
I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate. Today, Wednesday, the 25th of February, 2026. This is a report of the Auditor General laid pursuant to the Senate resolution of Tuesday, the 11th of November, 2025, on the referral of statutory instruments and papers submitted during recess for the year ended 30th June, 2025. On Webuye Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Bungoma, Mount Elgon Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, Kimilili Sub-County Hospital, in Bungoma, then Karuri Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kiambu, Langata Level 4 Hospital in Nairobi, County, Kiambu Level 5 Hospital in Kiambu, Dagoretti Sub-County Hospital, Mutwini, County Government of Nairobi, Tasia Kwandege Level 4 Hospital in Nairobi, Njenga Level 4 Hospital in Nairobi, Kihara Level 4 Hospital in Kiambu, Nyathuna Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kiambu, Sagana County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kirinyaga, Kirinyaga Municipality of Nyeri, County Government of Nyeri, Nyeri County Referral Hospital, County Government of Nyeri, Westlands Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Nairobi, Kandara Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Muranga, Odaya Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Nyeri, Ihururu Treatment and Rehabilitation Hospital, County Government of Nyeri, Mount Kenya Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Nyeri, Olkalau Water and Sanitation Company, Gatanga Water and Sanitation, Muranga Municipality, County Government of Muranga, Godquer Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Migori, Ober Level 4 Hospital in Homa Bay, Etago Level 4 in Kisii, Malela Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Homa Bay, Suba South Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Homa Bay, Ogongo Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Homa Bay, Rangwe Level 4 Hospital in Homa Bay, Keumbu Level 4 Hospital in Kisii, Migosi Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Kisumu, Taveta Municipality, Kendu Bay Sub-County Hospital in Homa Bay, Kandiege Level 4 Hospital in Homa Bay, Marindi Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Homa Bay, Uasin Gishu County Assembly, Mortgage Car Loan and Scheme Fund, Municipality of Eldoret, University of Eldoret Endowment Fund, Makelda Sub-County Hospital in Migori, Rachuonyo County Hospital in Homa Bay, Nyamagundo Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kisii, Nyandiwa Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Homa Bay, Amakura Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Busia, Likuyani Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Kakamega, Quisero Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kakamega, Archers Post in Samburu, Karuri Water and Sanitation Company Limited, Kikuyu Water Company Limited, Angurai Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Busia, Teso Sub-County Hospital in Busia, Port Victoria Sub-County Hospital in Busia, Lodwar Water and Sanitation Company, Kacheliba Sub-County Hospital, Muriranjas Level 4 Hospital, Kirinyaga Water and Sanitation PLC, Kangema Sub-County Hospital in Muranga, Kiwara in Muranga, Matayo Sub-County Hospital, Naitiri Sub-County Hospital in Bungoma, Isiolo County and Referral Hospital in Isiolo, Makunga Sub-County Hospital in Kakamega, Butere County Hospital in Kakamega, Navaholo Hospital in Kakamega, Kakamega County Emergency Fund, Busia Water and Services Company, Shibwe Sub-County Hospital in Kakamega, Kimilili Municipality, Sirisia Level 4 Hospital in Bungoma, Bungoma Municipality, Bungoma County Referral Hospital in Bungoma, Kakamega County Microfinance Corporation, Bungoma County Referral Hospital, Mautuma Sub-County in Kakamega, Malava Sub-County in Kakamega, Matete Level 4 Hospital in Kakamega, Nairobi City County Assembly, Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund, Thika Water and Sanitation Company, Githunguri Water and Sanitation Company, Gatundu Water and Sanitation Company Limited, Samburu Water and Sanitation Company Limited, County Assembly of Laikipia, Loan and Mortgage Scheme Members Scheme Fund, County Assembly of Laikipia, Loan Mortgage and Scheme Staff Fund, Baragoi Sub-County Hospital in Samburu, Busia County Referral Hospital in Busia, Olkalao Municipality in Nyandarua, Kenen Matiba Eye and Dental Clinic, County Government of Muranga, Kirinyaga Sub-County in Kirinyaga, Equalization Fund, County of Isiolo, Huyangu Sub-County Hospital in Busia, Nyahururu County Referral Hospital, Mukobola Sub-County Hospital, Cheptalal Hospital in Bomet, County Kipkelion Level 4 Hospital in Kericho, Longisa Level 4 Hospital in Bomet, Kericho Municipality, National Water and Sewage Company Limited, Bokoli Sub-County Water, County Government of Bungoma, Lupida County Hospital, Matunda Sub-County Hospital, Kakamega County Teaching and Referral Hospital, Manyala Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Kakamega, Kakamega County Rural Water and Sanitation Company Limited, Kakamega Municipality, Makutungu Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Kakamega, Iguhu Level 4, County Government of Kakamega. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Now, Honorable Senators, we have 4 questions, 2 directed to the CS Treasury and 2 directed to the CS in charge of Interior. Now, I'm informed that the CS Treasury is already in the building, and therefore we will proceed to take the 2 questions that have been directed to the CS Treasury. And those 2 questions are by the Senator for Kisumu County, Senator Tom Ojenda, whom I'm informed is not present but has nominated Senator David Wakoli to ask those 2 questions on his behalf. Clerk, you may usher in the CS Treasury. Honorable CS, welcome back once again to the Senate. You're before the Senate for purposes of responding to question number 001 and 002, both by the Senator for Kisumu County. However, those 2 questions will be asked by the Senator for Bungoma on behalf of Senator Tom Ojenda. Senator Wakoli, you may proceed. Now, before Senator Wakoli asks this question, I have allocated 20 minutes per question. So at the expiry of 20 minutes, we'll move to the next questions. Proceed, Senator David Okoli.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On behalf of the Senator for Kisumu, Professor Tom Ojenda, I would like to ask the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Economic Planning, question number 1. Karibu sana Waziri. A, could the Cabinet Secretary provide an update on the implementation status of all ongoing economic and social programs aimed at reducing poverty and alleviating household economic hardship? B, what is the total number of beneficiaries reached from financial year 2019/2020 to date, and what measurable outcomes have been achieved under this program? C, could the Cabinet Secretary indicate the regions or counties experiencing the highest levels of poverty and the specific measures being undertaken to address these disparities? D, what steps are being taken to ensure effective targeting, transparency, and equitable allocation of resources in national poverty reduction programs? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That is question number 1.
CS, you may now proceed to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and honorable members. Mr. Speaker, I take your guidance very, very seriously that each question should take 20 minutes. However, this first question is too long. The second one, I think I will deal with in that 20 minutes, but the first one seems to be too long. I'm trying to look for a strategy on how to handle it within the 20 minutes. But let me...
Honorable CS, you've provided a very detailed response.
Yes.
So you need not...
okay, to read word for word.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Then I'll devise a strategy to try to summarize. Now, Honorable Speaker, I am here to address question number 001 by Senator for Kisumu, Professor Tom Ojienda, on the status of national poverty reduction programs and resources allocation in the country. I was asked to provide an update on the implementation status of all ongoing economic and social programs aimed at reducing poverty and alleviating household economic hardships. So, Mr. Speaker, allow me to give a status of poverty in Kenya. We continue as a country to implement various interventions aimed at reducing poverty levels. The poverty headcount ratio stood at 54.9% in 2009. This has reduced to 36.1% in 2015-2016, or it reduced to 36.1% in 2015-2016, and 33% in 2019. However, due to COVID-19, in 2020, this ratio rose to 42.9%, but it has since reduced to 39.8%, the latest data that has been given. However, that is still very high, and interventions are necessary. The government has prioritized a number of programs which are aimed to reducing poverty, and some of these programs target to reduce poverty directly. For example, we have social transfers, and I will go to social transfers and explain what this means. So the social transfer program has been employed by the government to protect households or individuals who are vulnerable to poverty. We have a number of them. One of them is cash transfer for orphans and vulnerable children, targeting households with orphans and vulnerable children aged 0 to 17 years. And this was followed by the older persons cash transfer in 2008-2009. It would interest this House to note that the older persons cash transfer came as a result of a motion which, Honorable Speaker, the minister standing in front of you is the one who moved in 2008, so that the older persons could be given cash transfer of 1,500 shillings then, which has since risen to 2,000. However, the admission age has since been revised to include all elderly persons aged 70 years and above. Usually it was 65. Another intervention is persons living with severe disability cash transfer. That was introduced in 2010-2011. The other one is the Hunger Safety Net program, which is targeting poverty for all those with extreme poor households in the arid and semi-arid lands of northern Kenya that are prone to drought. So that is another program. So the cash transfer initiative is part of Kenya's social and economic inclusion project under the government's broader Inua Jamii social protection program. All those programs that I've mentioned provide 2,000 per month, payable by monthly to the beneficiaries, while the Hunger Safety Net program started at 2,300 per month, but is currently at 2,700 per month. And this is being administered by NDMA, which is the administrative arm. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, the government also implements the nutrition improvement through cash and health education, targeting vulnerable households already enrolled in one of the 4 above cash transfer programs. So this one, which we call Nishe, is being implemented in Kitui, West Pokot, Turkana, Marsabit, Kilifi, Garissa, Isiolo, Samburu, Tana River, Wajir, and Mandera. So let me now move, because there's a lot of details which honorable members, I'm sure, are able to read and follow. So economic empowerment or inclusion programs That is addressing the second leg of the question. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, economic empowerment interventions include the following. We have the National Youth Opportunities Towards Advancement, which we call NYOTA. And this, I think, has received a lot of public attention, and I don't want to dwell so much on it, but it started last year, October, with targeting 820,000 youth, and we are targeting youth across the country in all the 1,450 counties. Wards. And it is targeting those who are aged between 18 and 29 years, and if you are living with a disability, up to 35 years. And the project helps in equipping the young people with skills, in training, apprenticeships, certification, business support, and financial literacy. And it is aimed at enhancing employability, entrepreneurship, and access to opportunities, thereby creating sustainable pathways for youth economic participation and empowerment nationwide. And it's being supported by World Bank funding. The second one is the WESO Fund, which has been around for a while. Remember, this began in 2013 when the then President Uhuru Kenyatta made a pledge before elections that if there would be no rerun, then he would dedicate money that was meant for rerun or possible rerun of presidential elections to this fund, and that happened in 2013. And since then, over 7.2 billion shillings have been disbursed to over 1 million beneficiaries across all constituencies. There is also the Youth Enterprise Development Fund, which started in 2006 during President Kibaki's era, and this has also been targeting the youth. There is Women Enterprise Fund, which started in 2007. This is providing low-interest financing, entrepreneurship training, and market access support for women-owned enterprises. So far, about 25 billion has been disbursed to this fund, targeting over 132,000 self-help groups, most women, benefiting over 2 million people. Then we have the National Government Affirmative Action Fund, which is being administered through counties and being championed by women representatives across the country, the 47 of them. There is also the National Youth Service, which has been in existence from 1964, and as a disciplined service starts with training young men and women to serve the nation. And again, here, a number of youths have been trained and continue to get training. Now, I want to talk about food security as a way of dealing with poverty, because without food, the first indicator of poverty is when Kenyans are not able to feed themselves. Now, Honorable Speaker, food security is a foundational national priority that affects human survival, economic stability, public health, and social cohesion. The government efforts towards food security include implementation of various interventions under the agricultural transformation agenda. And these interventions include, we have Kenya National Fertilizer Subsidy Program, which has seen the price of a 50 kilogram bag of fertilizer, which used to sell between 6,000 to 7,000 per bag, is now selling at less than 3,500 shillings per bag. In fact, between 2,500 to 3,500. All categories of fertilizer, DAP, urea, CAN, NPK, and many others. and oversight to curb leakages and provide value for money. Finally, the government is improving coordination across ministries, departments, agencies, and county governments, and strengthening grievance and complaint mechanisms so that citizens can support exclusion errors or misuse of resources and receive timely address. So government acknowledges the importance of generating and making use of evidence in policy formulation and implementation. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to also just to mention participatory poverty assessment is a strategic evidence generation process that complements traditional statistical data and provides deep insights into how poverty is experienced by households across Kenya. So participatory poverty assessment are used internationally and in Kenya and in the past to gather qualitative information from poor and vulnerable communities themselves, capturing their perspectives on living conditions, access to services, barriers to opportunity, and the real-world impact of government policies and programs on their daily lives. And this assessment generates evidence that is crucial for refining policies, improving targeting, and enhancing program effectiveness. Given the value of this evidence to strengthen policy formulation and ensure programs under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda are responsive to the lived realities of the poor, I now formally request that Parliament consider allocating dedicated resources in the financial year 26-27 budget to undertake the sixth participatory poverty assessment. This allocation would support nationwide fieldwork, stakeholder consultation, data analysis, and dissemination of findings, ensuring that the government has up-to-date, community-driven insights to guide poverty reduction and household hardship alleviation strategies going forward. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I submit.
Thank you, Honorable CS. Senator Wakoli, do you have any supplementary questions? Good. So, Senator Mbugua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. CS, my question is on the Nyota program. There was a government policy that in all funds, 5% of it was to be allocated to persons with disability. And there is a complaint all over the country that the persons with disability are not adequately benefiting from this program. Can you tell this House how many persons with disability have benefited from this program? Thank you.
Honorable CS, just take note of that question and take more so that you can respond to maybe 10 of them at a go. Senator Muma.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Speaker, and Karibu, Honorable CS. Honorable CS, my question relates to the support to TVET institutions. You will agree that the greatest mitigation strategy to reduce poverty is enabling members of families to actually be able to stand on their own. Honorable CS, we just learned from one committee that you have not deployed even 1 shilling to the new funding models for TVETs for financial years 2023-2024, 2024-2025, 2025-2026. And as a result, learners from the most poor families are actually dropping off because their capitation or under the new funding model has not happened in the TVETs. And yet we still have many other who have not yet joined TVETs. How can we be reducing poverty if we don't honor such a basic need?
Senator Chute.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me take this opportunity to thank the CS for being here today. But the CS talked about investment in marginalized areas for the last maybe 4 years or 5 years. I wanted the CS to mention one project which has been started and completed in Marsabit County, a county which is the largest in this republic. One project. Thank you.
Senator Edwin Sifuna.
Honorable Speaker, listening to the CS, some of the figures that he was throwing around left me a bit confused. In December last year, Honorable Speaker, there was a report by Oxfam titled Kenya's Inequality Crisis, the Great Economic Divide. The report from Oxfam put the figure of Kenyans living under extreme poverty at 50%. I've heard the Honorable CS talking about 39.8, and they cited certain reasons, including the rising cost of living and inflation, which is at 50% higher than it was in 2020. We spoke about that period before COVID. My question specifically to the CS is about this Nyota program. You said it has received a lot of publicity because you publicize it. It is essentially a political rally. So the question I want to ask the CS on these Nyota funds, can you tell this House the expense side of hosting those Nyota events? How much it costs for you to put up those fanciful tents that we see? How much it costs to transport all of you, including the president, to those events? And lastly, why you allow politics to be played on those podiums? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Aaron Cheriot.
Mr. Speaker, I have a question to the CS. This is a very important subject that you are discussing on alleviating poverty amongst our citizens. And I must appreciate the interventions that have been listed and the measures that government is putting in place to try and help the less fortunate amongst us. There's a figure that the CS mentioned that by a cleanup of the register, they were able to save 2 billion shillings in the cash transfer program for the vulnerable in our society. Apart from cleaning up the register, were there any sanctions, CS, to public officers who may have been involved in either populating a list with people who are not deserving or ghost beneficiaries, Mr. Speaker? Last comment on Nyota is that I want to ask the CS to publicize it as much as possible alongside any other programs. Any program that helps citizens and makes their life better, Mr. Speaker, I believe should be publicized as much as possible. I thank you.
Senator Manzo.
Speaker, the CS talked about Gulalu irrigation project, and I want just to ask him generally on agriculture that Gulalu's project was to be stabilized by flow of water from Thwake Dam, which for the last 3 years, no progress at all has happened. Funding had been promised by African Development Bank by December. Up to now, there's no progress at all. And this will trigger irrigation in several counties, Kitui, Makueni, Kajiado, Machakos, and even the lower eastern counties, the lower counties around Gulalu. So what is he doing about that to make sure you spur irrigation on that? And finally, Mr. Speaker.
No, you're allowed to ask only one question, Honorable Senator. Senator Richard Mogu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And thanks, CS, for availing yourself. My question is, I went to Rwanda last year around November, and the system in social activities in Rwanda targets whole family, that is family unit, to alleviate and make them be on their feet. And then what I see that helps is the assessment that goes on. They go to that family, see how it has alleviated and helped, and the change that has taken place. Now, a lot of activities, as you mentioned, have gone on, but how much assessment is being carried to make sure that it is effective and helping people? Because you can pump things or money into a system, but that system is not reaching where it's supposed to be reaching. And therefore, families continue to languish in poverty, and yet there is a lot of pumping into a system that is not reaching the targeted people.
Senator Enoch Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, poverty is a present reality in this country, actually made worse by the current drought situation. Mr. Speaker, I am a bit taken aback by the figures that the CS has brought here, because I'm wondering then if we are relying on figures for 2022 to address a problem in 2026, then, Mr. Speaker, I think there's a problem. I want to know, and just Mr. Speaker, remember we were debating something and I was saying, I am not very sure if the 3.3 million people that we are saying are in need of urgent support, relief support, is actually a reflection of the reality on the ground. So the figures that we have here, most of them are drawn from 2022. We are in 2026, in the midst of a drought situation. I don't know what figures they're using to plan to alleviate poverty in this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Veronica Minor.
Honorable CS, thank you for coming to answer the questions in this House. We have some CSs who don't bother to even apologize sometimes when they are not available for this question time, and it's crucial. And more importantly, we require that when you undertake something on the floor of the House, you ensure it's performed. Honorable CS, as you can very well tell from your report, which I know you have prepared with a lot of caution, just to make sure that it's factual and it represents the reality, we have a very poor population in the Republic of Kenya. And in Murang'a County, we have people living in extreme poverty, Honorable Speaker, who require very, very key intervention. And I know your report has disaggregated the counties. Honorable CS, I don't know whether you are aware that right now there are fires that have caught, there are some homes that have caught fire within Murang'a County, and that population of the people who have faced those fires do not even have a home they can call a home. What is your ministry doing to ensure that the fires that have happened in Kegumo, fires that have happened in Kangema, in a place called Kiawambogo, fires that have happened in Kandara, and even old people whose homes they are rained on. I mean, when they are asleep inside their home, they are rained on. What is your ministry doing anything to intervene for those people living in extreme hardcore poverty within the counties, and particularly Murang'a County? What are you doing? I have like lineup of 7 homes that need very urgent intervention.
Now, honorable senators, avoid making lengthy speeches. Go straight to the question so that we can have as many questions addressed to the CS. Senator Betty Montet.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable CS, you talked about the social transfers. My question then is to where you stand. From where you stand, do you think that these transfers are aimed at poverty reduction or it is a poverty mitigation strategy? And is it not time that the figures are reviewed?
Senator Abbas.
Honorable Speaker, I want to ask the CS that this country, as you rightly said, almost 13 counties are facing drought, and they are above the poverty level status. And this has been there for long years and many years. CS. You know, this country.
No, honorable senators, I'll remind you again.
Okay, let me ask a question. Honorable CS, how much money was allocated for drought intervention in northern Kenya and wherever there's a drought? A lot of, I've seen food being distributed, and we cannot continue relying on food alone every time. This country has to change its policy. in terms of drought interventions. If you just look at Burkina Faso, which has been in the middle of desert today, has surplus production of food just because of one person who made the life change in that country. So what is the plan for the country, for this country, to produce, drought interventions in time and to have enough food for food production to avoid giving ad hoc food supply in the drought-stricken areas?
Senator Consolata.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for the opportunity and to welcome CS. You have outlined a myriad of interventions to boost economic levels. However, my question is this, that which mechanisms has your ministry put in place to inform on the selection criteria of the beneficiaries of these opportunities? Which monitoring and evaluation tool do you have? And finally, which one is your feedback mechanism have you put in place to realize on the uptake of these opportunities? I'm so disappointed that Bungoma County has been rated highest in poverty.
Senator Chirange Sampson.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. And Waziri, just a quick one. You have discussed the issue of poverty elevation, especially among the young people, Nyota youth development programs that are supposed to be in place. My question through the Speaker is, Waziri, what mechanisms of evaluation and monitoring you have put in place to ensure that young people, or what you are doing in Nyota, and you know, Mr. Speaker, the issues of youth are so much more important that it needs the attention of the President. So, Speaker, what I'm asking is there evaluation and monitoring mechanisms that we have put in place? And Waziri, what strategies that are in place to ensure that this issue are long-term and ignore haters like Senator Sifuna, who doesn't even know where ODM certificate
we've
is?
Heard your question, Senator.
Is not a
Senator Fernandi, take your seat. Senator Seki.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. My question goes direct to the CS, and it's in issues of irrigation development programs. Honorable CS, I believe there was a budget on the financial year 2024-2025 for irrigation schemes in Rombo, in Kajiado County, and in Kuruman, Magadi. Honorable Speaker, I would really wish to know the level and processes where that irrigation schemes is, because we don't see anything so far from those two financial years.
Senator John Yuchu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I refer to the response by the CS on economic empowerment, Mr. Speaker, and I refer specifically to Nyota program, Mr. Speaker, where when these funds are being distributed to young people, the President is always in attendance. So could the CS Treasury tell us exactly how much does the country spend in transporting the President
Senator Newton, that's a repeat question. It's a question that has already been asked, so just wait for its response.
Okay. Okay.
Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond, and kindly do so in less than 10 minutes so that we wrap up on this particular question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the question, the first question by Senator Mbugwa on the Nyota program and the persons living with disabilities who have benefited or are benefiting from Nyota program, I wish to state that so far 26,000 persons living with a disability have benefited from this program. So it's not that they have been neglected completely. There is a component of the funding that has been designated specifically for persons living with a disability. Senator Muma has asked me about support to TVET institutions. As a matter of fact, we are supporting TVET institutions. We have included the funding of TVET together with other tertiary institutions and the Higher Education Loans Board program. And in terms of capitation, I know there was challenges, but it's not that we have not provided money completely. There are challenges with the funding of TVETs, and we have got the data on how to fund, how much is needed, but because of sometimes financial constraints, we are not able to provide enough funding to TVETs, but it remains a priority. In fact, we have even received some funding. We are receiving some funding from China to support the TVET activities. And TVET is at the core of the government agenda. As we prepare the budget of 26-27, we are going to make sure that TVETs are supported in terms of capitation, because that is where the challenge has been. Senator Shute, on Marsabit County, I wish that this information was required. I will make it available if that is needed on the projects that are ongoing in Marsabit. I may not know the status where they are because the line ministries are responsible, but we will do as much as we can to provide the projects that are being implemented in Marsabit County. But I would not dispute if Marsabit County is not or has not been receiving proper funding from the national government, because discrimination, marginalization, and exclusion in this country, Mr. Speaker, we cannot shy away from it. It has been a reality. And as leaders, we cannot run away from that responsibility. And I will look into the budget of 2026 with a clear objective of ensuring some equity and fairness. We may not have equal budget or equitable budget in year one, but we must start that progress. And if I had time, I would tell you some of the interventions that even personally I have intervened in the budget process to make sure that certain areas that have been ignored are actually taken care of. This morning, before I came here, I was having a meeting with MPs from the Northern Kenya region, and just to see how to give more support to that region in terms of budget, including the supplementary budget. So I agree with you that there could be some kind of marginalization, but that should be addressed. On the questions by Honorable Sifuna about the figures from Oxfam and my figures, I am quoting public figures, Mr. Speaker, and figures that have come from government institutions that I think we have faith in. Because again, every country has their system of doing their survey. If we have put a government institution in place that is doing household survey, and they have given us the data that in 2009, our poverty index was at 54%. And that went down in 2015 to 36.1%. And went down even further in 2019 to 33.6%. But rose or went up during COVID to 42.9%. And then went down to 39.8%. I have no reason to doubt those figures, unless I am proved to be wrong, or the institution which is doing the survey is proved to be wrong. So I am relying on authentic figures, figures that we can challenge. If we feel we don't agree with the figures, we can challenge them. But these are statistics that have not come from the moon. They are with us, they are public documents, and can be checked. On the issue of Nyota, and whether it's a political rally, you know, Kenyans are very interesting, Mr. Speaker. When you don't communicate, they complain. They want public participation. When you do it, why are you doing it? You are politicizing. How much are you using? I don't know whether you expect the president to walk to Kisumu on foot to go and conduct public sensitization on a very critical and important program of government targeting the youth.
Order, honorable senators. Order. Order. Senator Fernandi, you either be orderly or I'll ask you to leave the chamber. I don't know where that excitement is coming from. Let us listen to the CS in silence. Now, Honorable Senator for Nairobi, you cannot rise on a point of order against the CS. It is up to the Speaker to rule. Proceed and conclude, Honorable CS.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was just explaining that we need proper sensitization to the youth in terms of how to run the businesses that they are going to start using this Nyota program. And again, we need no lesser office than the head of state to be able to articulate and explain to the youth the agenda of the government, because he was elected to address problems of Kenya. The president was not elected to sit at State House. We need a president who reaches to Kenyans, talk to them, explain the government programs.
No.
Mr. Speaker, on Majority Leader...
Honorable Senator, Honorable CS,
yes.
The question that has been asked by Senator for Nairobi is for you to tell the country how much has been expended.
Mr. Speaker, if I was...
If you don't have the figure...
Yeah, and again, but what I know is has been spent within the budget of the president to run the government. The president has a budget at State House to run programs. And all the expenditure...
Order, Honorable Senator. Senator Fernandi.
So, Mr. Speaker, the confirmation that I would give this House is that the budget that the head of state has spent in going around to sensitize Kenyans on the Nyota program is within the budget of State House provided by the National Assembly of the Republic of Kenya. Majority Leader asked me whether we have sanctioned the officers who probably were involved in giving us figures that were not accurate. I think the line ministry is dealing with that, but the line ministry helped us to clean the system, get 2 billion, which we actually reallocated to support health programs for those Kenyans who cannot afford to pay for their health programs. So this money that was saved was properly put to support the health programs. Senator Manzo, you asked me about Galana Kulalu. First, for us to be able to irrigate 200,000 acres of Galana Kulalu project, we'll have to do a dam along the river, the Galana, that around the Galana Kulalu. And it will be costing us almost 40 billion. Thwake Dam, I'm sure you are aware that we have unlocked all the challenges that were facing Thwake Dam. And therefore now, African Development Bank, and I signed with them, they are supposed now to complete the dam. So it is not a challenge anymore. We know where the challenge was, and I'm sure the Senator is aware of the challenges. But in terms of irrigating Galana Kulalu, we need more resources to do a dam that will help us irrigate 200,000 acres. And Mr. Speaker, if we irrigate 200,000 acres, imagine 1 acre produces 30 bags of maize. That we approved, we harvested in December. Out of the 1,500 acres, each acre produced 30 bags. 30 bags times 200,000 acres is giving you 6 million bags. And the harvesting will be done twice in a year. So that is 12 million bags. And the deficit, the most deficit that we have in Kenya, shortage, is between 10 and 15. So Galana Kulalu alone can help us fix the problem of food deficiency in this country. Senator Murgo asked me on how we are assessing, that we should assess at the family level as Rwanda is doing. And that is why, my last paragraph, I concluded by saying that we want to do participatory poverty assessment, which is a strategic evidence generation process. And I asked that the Parliament should give us resources in the 2026-27 to undertake the 6th participatory poverty assessment. We've done 5 before. If we get resources, we are also in agreement that this participatory poverty assessment is a strategic evidence generation process that would help us address this matter. So I completely agree with Senator Murgo. Senator Wambua, I'm not relying on figures of 2022. If you look at my reports or my submission, it touches on some figures of 2022, some 2024. But again, some household figures, you cannot do assessment every day. It is even costly, it is expensive, you can't afford it. So we must have some periodic assessment. So some like household survey was done in that year, it will be done again, but you can't do it every year because the figures might have not even changed that much. So we are not relying on outdated figures, as you're saying, but some figures, yes, relate to 2022. Not very far off, because again, even census we did in 2019, we'll do it again in 2029, but we can be able to project our population based on that. Senator Consolata, mechanisms put in place to select, monitor, and feedback mechanisms. Every program that we have has an M&E component, including the Nyota, including now even the Ways of Fund. Each one of them has an M&E component in it, which provides us with feedback mechanism. That's why I'm able to report even on the impact of each of these fundings. Again, I think that was the same question that Senator Cherargei asked on M&E and how to see the impact it has on the young people. Senator Seki, you asked about specific irrigation projects. How again, I wish that I was aware of that question. I would have come with the data. So if this House may, if it is desirable, I can go and check and write back to the Senate to indicate where that program is. Senator John Methu, again, you asked the same questions. New to, yes. Oh, sorry. I got your name wrong. You'll forgive me. But I know you very well. You are always a permanent visitor in not my sitting, because you are always speaking when I'm in the office. You are always there on Citizen, so I watch you. And giving me some very good tips on how not to do things. But again, on your program, you are asked how much is being used to transport the president to this NOTA program. We spend as much as the parliament has appropriated to State House to support and facilitate the head of state. So that is what we spend. Thank you.
Now, honorable senators, we will move to question number 002. Senator Wakoli, you may ask question number 002. Let's handle question number 002.
Honorable Speaker.
Senator Wakoli, just resume your seat, please. Yes, Honorable CS. Honorable CS.
Honorable Speaker. Speaker, it is true. I forgot to address 3 questions. You know, I was writing. One is by Veronica Maina, a senator. Yes, you know, on the issue of fire incidences in Murang'a, various places in Murang'a, you know, we have a special state department dealing with emergencies and interventions like this one, the special programs program. And we resource them very well when there are these emergencies, because they can't wait. So I may not have information on what interventions have been taken, but that state department deals with emergencies. On the issue of this, Senator Bass asked me how much we have allocated to the 13 counties for drought mitigation. When drought began, or incidences of drought began last year, July, the people we projected that would be affected were just about 2 million. Now the figure has risen to 3.3. The first request that I got, we gave 3 billion to support in the month of August. Then in the month of November, we gave 2.5 billion. That is 5.5. Then again in December, we gave 3 billion. So that's 8.5. Besides that, we also gave 500 million specifically for livestock intervention. So 9 billion so far has been spent, 9.05 057. The 057, which is 57 million, went to Elgeyo Marakwet for the flood intervention, but 9 billion went for drought mitigation. We have again, I've already approved another 4.1 billion to support drought intervention. So that will push it to over 13 billion. We are still monitoring the situation, and if it becomes dire, we will be forced again to put in more resources. So that, in a nutshell, is my response to your question. Lastly, the Senator for Kitui, yes, asked about, is this? Yes, pardon? Machakos, yes.
What question was it?
Anyway, the question was poverty reduction or mitigation.
That was Senator Betty Montet.
Okay. I think I captured it. Kitui Senator is Wambua, isn't it? Yes. So I got it completely wrong. Now, poverty reduction or mitigation. Very thin line. You know, when you mitigate, you intervene and mitigate poverty, chances are that you will end up reducing poverty in the long run. Because, again, that intervention helps to give the capacity to help reduce poverty. And we've seen it, by the way, those who are getting cash transfer, some of them even end up saving part of that money to pay school fees. And when they pay school fees, their children get educated, and that is one way of giving empowerment and reducing poverty. So it can be both. Our interventions is both reduction and mitigation. Thank you.
Senator Wakoli, you may now ask question number 002.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for calming the various voices at the background, Honorable Speaker. Question number 2 to the Cabinet Secretary. A, could the Cabinet Secretary provide an update on the regulation and licensing status of digital lending platforms operating in Kenya? B, what measures are currently in place to curb predatory lending practices, including exorbitant interest rates, unethical debt recovery methods, and the misuse of borrowers' personal data? C, how is the ministry coordinating with other regulatory agencies to enforce consumer protection and data privacy standards within the digital credit market? D, what steps are being taken to promote fair, transparent, and responsible digital credit as part of financial inclusion while safeguarding citizens from exploitation? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this response has been prepared together with the Central Bank of Kenya. That is the National Treasury, together with the Central Bank of Kenya, would like to respond as follows. Question number A was, could the Cabinet Secretary provide an update on the regulation and licensing status of digital lending platforms operating in Kenya? This is my response. CBK licenses 3 categories of financial institutions to engage in lending to the public: commercial banks, microfinance banks, the commercial banks, 38 of them, microfinance banks, 14, and non-deposit taking credit providers, 195. Previously referred to as digital credit providers, and that is, I think, the gist and the genesis of this question. Principally, the licensing and oversight is undertaken pursuant to the Banking Act, Microfinance Act, and the CBK Act, respectively, and regulations thereunder. The statutes have elaborate and comprehensive measures in place for the licensing and oversight of the indicated financial institutions. As of December 2025, credit to private sector by commercial banks and microfinance banks and digital credit providers, let me call it that, was 4.3 trillion, 32 billion, and 110 billion respectively, representing 96.8%, 0.8% and 2.4% of the credit advanced by the institutions, respectively. This highlights the continued dominance of commercial banks in private sector credit at 6.8%. And again, the table has been, that table is an elaboration of what I've just said, because that was the first question. The question number B, what measures are currently in place to curb predatory lending practices, including exorbitant interest rates, unethical debt recovery methods, and the misuse of borrowers' personal data? This is my response. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, one of the purposes of licensing non-deposit taking credit provision is to ensure that consumers are duly protected from malpractices such as, let me read it again. One of the purposes of licensing non-deposit taking credit providers is to ensure that consumers are duly protected from malpractices such as predatory practices, including high interest rates, data protection breaches, and abuse of personal information. CBK thus engages with all non-deposit taking credit providers licensees to ensure that their pricing models are customer-centric and risk-based. CBK requires these institutions to submit pricing models that are aligned to the provisions of Regulations 27.2 of the DCP Regulations 2022. In view of this, CBK has been engaging with all its licensees to ensure that their pricing models are customer-centric and risk-based, as required by the law. Further, all product features and prices must be reviewed and approved accordingly by CBK. This is ongoing for the licensed non-deposit taking credit providers as well as all applicants. This is aimed at ensuring that the pricing models are fair, transparent, and empowering for consumers accessing the digital credit products. CBK works closely with the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner to coordinate enforcement actions and ensure consistent application of data privacy standards across the sector. The primary responsibility of implementing and enforcing the Data Protection Act rests with the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner. To prevent cyber harassment and unauthorized data access, CBK monitors compliance through regular off-site surveillance and on-site inspections. These reviews assess the adequacy of licensees, internal controls, data governance frameworks, and day-to-day data handling practices, enabling prompt collective action where gaps are identified. Question C. How is the ministry coordinating with other regulatory agencies to enforce consumer protection and data privacy standards within the digital credit market? Honorable Speaker, this is my response. The primary mandate to implement and enforce the data protection rests with the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner. Accordingly, CBK works in close collaboration with the office, as I mentioned before, and this collaboration strengthens sector-wide compliance and ensures that violations are addressed through joint investigation, audits, and, where necessary, penalties or a license revocation is applied. The second one is regulatory compliance requirements. CBK mandates all the licensed non-deposit taking credit providers to fully adhere to the DPA and its attendant regulations. As part of the licensing and supervisory framework, NDTCPs are required to obtain a certificate issued pursuant to Section 19 or pursuant to the law. B, develop and implement a robust data protection policy. Number 3 is supervisory oversight and compliance monitoring. Compliance with the data protection obligations is monitored through regular off-site surveillance and targeted on-site inspections. And these reviews assess the adequacy of internal controls, as I mentioned, and data governance frameworks. Number 4 is the requirement for informed consent. Digital lenders are expressly required to obtain clear, informed, and explicit consent from borrowers before accessing personal data, including phone contact lists or location information. The use of consent must meet the standards outlined in the DPA and ensuring that, or the Data Protection Act, and ensuring that customers understand the purpose and scope of the data. Number 5 is enforcement of data minimization principle in line with the Regulation 33 of the Data Protection Regulations 2021. CBK enforces the principle of data minimization. Question number D was around what steps are being taken to promote fair, transparent, and responsible digital credit as part of financial inclusion while safeguarding citizens from exploitation. And Mr. Speaker and honorable members, this is my response. Licensing and regulatory oversight. CBK requires all non-deposit taking credit providers to be licensed under a DCP regulatory framework that outlines eligibility criteria, governance, operation standards, and consumer protection obligations. Number 2, supervisory engagement and capacity building. CPK has continued to actively engage licensed non-deposit taking credit providers via off-site reviews and targeted on-site inspections, as I had indicated before. Number 3 is technology-driven compliance monitoring. CBK's enterprise data warehouse system integrates with non-deposit taking credit providers for streamlined data submission covering lending activities, governance, consumer protection, and redress. Further, CBK collects periodic returns on outstanding credit from non-deposit taking credit providers via the bank supervision application. The other one, or number 4, is consumer redress and dispute resolution mechanism, where CBK requires all these non-deposit taking credit providers to establish effective consumer complaints handling policies as a licensing condition. And these policies must include clear guidance on lodging complaints, dedicated complaints communication channels, and defined timelines for acknowledgement, investigation, and resolution. The other one is enforcement and sanction. That is number 5. Again, that is explained there, Mr. Speaker, for honorable members to see. Number 6, recently issued draft CBK non-deposit taking credit provider regulations of 2025. Following challenges experienced since implementing the digital credit legal and regulatory framework in March 2022, amendments to the CBK Act through the Business Law Amendment Act of 2024 have informed the drafting of new regulations. Key proposals include expanding the scope beyond digital lending to cover all non-deposit taking credit providers, businesses not regulated under other laws, such as buy now, pay later arrangements, peer-to-peer lending, and pay-as-you-go arrangements. The other thing is, which these regulations have addressed, is introducing a tied licensing and regulatory framework to enable a risk-based regulatory approach, easing requirements for lower, for lower risk providers and improving oversight efficiency. The next one is the credit providers continue to harass and or mistreat customers. Thus, the urgent need to enhance the penalty for mistreating or harassing consumers. That has now been provided through regulation. Finally, enhancing penalties for violations and failure to comply with the provisions of the Act and these regulations and any other regulations, guidelines, code of conduct, directive, order, or condition imposed by the bank from 500,000 now to 2 million shillings to be dissuasive and instill discipline among the non-deposit taking credit providers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rest my case.
Thank you, Cabinet Secretary. Senator Wafula, any supplementary questions? We shall proceed to take supplementary questions from the other senators. Senator Alexander Mundigi.
Asante Bwana Spika, swali langu ni kwa waziri. Katika Embu County na katika act ya disposal, kuna magari nyingi sana katika Embu County zinafaa ziuzwe, na ninajua hii swali sio katika Embu County peke yake, na sina wrong book, na hiyo imekuwa kila wakati wote inakuwa ni audit query. Tungetaka kujua Embu County hiyo wrong book zitapatikana wakati gani, na hiyo magari itaondolewa wakati gani, na zitafanyika namna gani ndio siweze kuondolewa ama siweze kusaidia watu waweze.
Senator Mundigi, swali yako haihusiani na swali ile ambayo iliulizwa. Iko nje ya
swali langu Bwana Speaker. Ilikuwa general questions na nilikuwa nimeomba before ile speaker mwingine aondoke. Bwana Speaker.
Senator Mundigi, hakuna kitu kama general questions. Hakuna kitu kama hiyo. Swali yako inafaa kuhusiana na ile swali ambayo iliulizwa na Senator Wafula.
Lakini Bwana Spika, wakati before ile speaker mwingine aondoke nilikuwa nimeuliza.
Basi ilipitwa na wakati.
No, lakini aliondoka na akasema nitauliza in general questions.
Tutawachia waziri aamue kama ako na hiyo information ndo akupatie jawabu. Kama hana, itakuwa ni jukumu yake kwa pengine kukuandikia kando. Senator Beth Siango. No. Kajwang Moses. Senator Kajwang, najua umengojea lakini si unaona orodha hapo?
Nimeona.
Nilikuwa natafuta jina yako.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was about to ask my question in Swahili. Then I remembered that it is CS Mbadi in the house. I might challenge him a bit if I proceeded in Swahili. But Mr. Speaker, CS Mbadi is one of those people who make me believe in this government because of the actions he has taken since he went into office. I wanted to ask on the digital credit providers. In 2000, Joe Donde moved this nation to amend the Banking Act and to introduce Section 44A that introduced the in duplam rule. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to find out from the CS what measures the Treasury is taking to ensure that digital credit providers do not violate Section 44A of the Banking Act, which simply states that interest should never exceed the principal. We have seen most of these online and digital credit platforms where the interest is exploitative. The interest sometimes is double or triple the principal. Could the CS tell us what he's doing to ensure that DCPs are also regulated and are also subjected to Section 44A of the Banking Act, in as much as they might not be pure banks, but it is important for Kenyans to be protected from exploitative interest and exploitative lending behaviors. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Steve Lelengwe.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I wanted to ask a supplementary question to the Cabinet Secretary regarding the first question, question 0001. I'm not sure whether I can proceed.
We've passed that already. Senator Mohammed Chute.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Just a moment. Senators, if you're not intending to ask a question, could you please unclick your button so that we can have only the senators who want to ask questions on the schedule. Proceed, Senator Chute.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The question I'm about to ask is within the knowledge of the CS, which is a bit out of what we are here today for. But I would want, if he can answer now also is fine. If he can answer later on, it's fine. Honorable Speaker, there is Engineer Joseph Wagoguyo, personal number 198-605-9914. The engineer died in November 2020, and to date, the dues has not been paid. His wife, the widow, asked me to ask the CS.
Senator Chute, I'm going to remind you the same thing I reminded Senator Mundingi. You're asking a question which is outside the
I have already said
the line question which has been
I have
asked.
said it.
Yes, you've said it, but
It is
your
up to the
question
CS.
is so detailed about an individual. You cannot expect the CS at this very moment to answer that question.
I have put, what I did, Honorable Speaker, is I said he can answer now or later on.
No, he cannot answer now or he cannot answer later because it is not in
Honorable
the question.
Speaker,
It
I
is
am
not in the line of question.
I am asking this question.
Senator Chute.
Allow me.
Senator Chute, what you can do, if I'm to advise you, seek an appointment with the CS, take the matter to him, because he will have to ask his officers for the file.
Honorable Speaker.
You cannot expect him. No, we will not argue on this, Senator Chute. Please take a seat. We're going to take the next question. Senator Joe Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I refer to question number B and the response by the CS, Mr. Speaker. And this is about exorbitant interest rates and what the CS is doing to see to it that Kenyans are not exploited through these predatory lending practices, Mr. Speaker. So I wanted to ask the CS, whom Senator Kajwang has described as one of the reasons that he trusts this government, to tell us whether he thinks that the former situation that we had, where we had fixed bank lending rates, is something that we should revisit. Because, Mr. Speaker, this was, in my view, very progressive to borrowers. So does he think that we can go back to the situation where we had fixed bank lending rates? And if not, tell us why he thinks that we should not go back to that particular situation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Samson Cherargei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. One is I want to find out from the Cabinet Secretary on this issue of digital credit providers. What mechanisms, because we have seen most of them are exploitative in terms of interest, and even they have Shylock-like predatory, it's called predatory lending, Mr. Speaker. What mechanisms have been put in place by the Ministry of National Treasury and the Cabinet Secretary to ensure that these digital providers, lenders, are within the Banking Act and they are not exploitative like when you borrow from Shwari, for example, in Safaricom, and the blacklisting? As you are aware, Mr. Speaker, there was a hue and cry, especially from the youth, where when you borrow, they sometimes even switch your phone, even if it is Mulika Mwisi, Mr. Speaker. So we need what we call consumer protection in short, especially to the lenders in digital issues. And I want to ask Senator Newton not to be worried. There is a lot to believe in this government. He should not be just pessimistic. There is a lot, even we are doing in Murang'a Mau Mau roads. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
Cherargei, why do you seek points of orders for no reason? And you're just supposed to ask your question. Senator Nyoto, yes, what's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I think Senator Cherargei should stop dumping these boats all the time and take time to listen. I did not at all. I have platforms to express my displeasure with this failed government, but I did not. In my question to the CS, I did not say, I actually just referred to the comment that Senator Kajwang made. I did not say whether or not, like Senator Kajwang, I believe in this government. So, Mr. Speaker, it's important that you ask Senator Cherargei to stop being the sycophant that he has been and take time to listen to submissions by other members. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mundigi.
Bwana Spika, Bwana Nyotu angefaa kusema serikali ambayo imeanguka. Labda imeanguka kwa DCP, lakini sio kwa Kenya. Kwa hivyo anafaa aondoe hiyo mjadala wake. Kwa sababu tumeona vile serikali ambayo ya William Ruto vile imefanya kazi kwa kina mama, kwa wazee, kwa vijana, kwa asili kama ule ni wa serikali ya broad based, alafu sasa kuja kudanganya Wakenya hapa ati serikali imeanguka. Nataka nimfahamishe hii serikali itaenda miaka ingine 7. Serikali William Ruto atakaa miaka 10. Asante Bwana Spika.
Senators, we need to proceed with the questions. Yes, Eddie. Sorry, yes, Senator Eddie.
Mr. Speaker, mine is just a I think it's a point of order. But, Mr. Speaker, it's very difficult to get these ministers, the CSS, for us to be able to ask them questions in whichever platform. I know it might be easier to say, let Eddie Okech go to the minister's office. But I can tell you, Mr. Speaker, I have called a number of ministers, including the minister who is here, Minister John Mbadi, and you don't get them on phone. So when they come to this house, Mr. Speaker, just wait. I'm on a point of order. I'm on a point of order number 51C, which talks about the responses to questions by cabinet secretaries. That's where I was heading to. Mr. Speaker, if you read 51C7, it says, upon the issuance of a response or making of a statement under paragraph 1, which is basically answering the questions, the Speaker may, the word there is may, not shall, may allow the senator who asks the question to raise a maximum of 2 supplementary questions that relate to the question. That relate to the question. The person who asks the question to the minister shall relate their question, supplementary question, to the question they have related. And then B says, allow any other senator to ask a supplementary question. A supplementary question which might not be related. This is the sense of this point of order. If the intention was to make sure that the question here relates to the other question, it could have been provided in this provision, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to ask you, Mr. Speaker, allow us to ask this CSS any question that is supplementary to the best of what is affecting my people and what is affecting Kenyans. I wanted to request, Mr. Speaker, that and this is not to verify your ruling, Mr. Speaker, but I wish that Senator Chute, could be allowed to ask his questions, because it's difficult to get these ministers when you go to their offices, when you call them. So when they come here, this is the house of the people, just allow us to ask the questions, because here it says it's not for the other senators. It's not may. It's not related to the question that was asked. It's for any supplementary question, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to plead with you, Mr. Speaker, to allow us to ask those questions.
Senator, thank you. I have heard you. Order, senators. Order, senators. Order, Senator Cherargei. He doesn't want your assistance. Senator Eddy, as you've clearly read the order paper, I mean the standing orders, you underlined even may. The Speaker may. And I have chosen not to allow those questions. So it is within my prerogative. And if you're itching to ask a question, why don't you file the questions on time so that you can ask it on the floor of the House? We have another cabinet secretary waiting, and we are spending too much time with the CS of Treasury. So we will proceed, senators. Senator Cherargei, you asked your question. So it's Senator Cheriot.
Mr. Speaker, I don't envy you. It's very difficult to steer this House on track sometimes when the kind of interactions I've seen this morning. Mr. Speaker, I have a quick question to the Minister with regards to question 2 on these predatory lending practices by various business entities. One of the reasons why I celebrate you, Minister, is that you have really demystified this position of the Cabinet Secretary in charge of the National Treasury. You're the first minister to go in charge of finance, to go to Bunge la Mwananchi and engage citizens at the level which you're doing. I'd wish that you do it more. At your next visit, Mrs. Cabinet Secretary, please interact with our young men who ply the border business, and you will appreciate this problem, how much of a menace it is to them. That there are people who give them motorbikes, and at the end of the paying period, they have paid almost triple the amount it will have cost them to acquire that particular motorbike. When you tie that to the question that was asked by your own senator, Senator Moses Kajwang, you appreciate that these companies are completely in violation of all existing laws of the land. So what is your State Department doing with particular focus on the border sector, Minister, and the loan sharks that exist in that particular space that are exploiting our young people who slave for them, By the time they finish paying for the loan of the motorbike actually is completely worn out and there's nothing else they can do for it, and they haven't made anything of substance to them. Can we curb this menace, Mr. Minister? I thank you.
Senator Enoch Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For some strange reason, Senator Cheruiyot seems to have asked the question that I wanted to ask, but I will ask a different one. Bwana CS, let me congratulate you for what you're trying to do to rein in these predators. But the real predators will be found in the Shylock space. People who are really preying on the desperation of Kenyans, especially young Kenyans, for quick money, but the repayment is as painful as pain can get. What would your ministry, department, do to ensure that you clean up that mess about the Shylocks? They are really, really exploiting young people. They are really, really bringing a lot of pain in households. I know quite a number of families that have actually been broken because of the activities of Shylocks. But what are you doing about that space? I thank you.
Senator Manzo.
A very brief one, Mr. Speaker, on the same. What is the Cabinet Secretary doing, or is he aware of the credit facilities whereby logbooks are used as, are used to borrow monies, and the practicality of the interest rates, which keep on changing on a daily basis, are that it becomes very difficult to ever recover your car once you've given it to these people who use logbooks, so for people to access quick money, and then it becomes mission impossible. Is the government controlling that sector also? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Cabinet Secretary. Give the CS the mic. Yeah, it's on.
Oh, it's back. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, listening to the various questions, I think I want to condense them to just about 3. Because the first question, which is of major concern, is the exploitative nature of some of these credit providers, especially digital credit providers. And again, Senator Cheruiyot has also brought in those who are giving loans to even border people. And this is something we live with every day. We see them. Senator, I agree with you absolutely. And my commitment to you, Senator Cheruiyot, is that I will have an engagement with the border operators soon, just to interact with them and understand their concerns. But to answer this concern became apparent to us, and that is why in 2024, because there was no proper legal framework to deal with these credit providers. So in 2024 December, through Tax Laws Amendment Bill, one of my first assignments in office was to bring some of these amendments, to bring these digital credit providers into the supervisory role and purview of the CBK. And right now, they have to have their pricing model approved to ensure that they follow Induplam rule, which Senator Moses asked about. And we have even enhanced penalty to 2 million shillings from 500,000. So whatever they do now is covered in law, and therefore they must comply with the law. Anyone who is not complying with the law risks facing the penalties that have been set in law. And so, unlike before, right now they are under the supervisory role and purview of the CBK. And that also addresses the question by Honorable Manzo that there are people who offer credit facilities, take logbooks with the sole objective of selling these assets, because they know that the way they have structured their debts is in a way that you are not going to be able to settle the debts. Now they must operate within the law, because the law is there. If they don't want to follow the law, then obviously they will be penalized, and penalized properly. And even in their licenses can be revoked. And I agree with the Senator Chiragai that these people sometimes behave like Shylocks. So that is why now we have brought them under Section 44A, and there are regulations now that have been prepared to address the same. The other issue that was asked by Senator Nyutu about whether we should go back to that period when we had fixed interest or bank lending rates. My quick response is no. By the way, it may look very appetizing and easy to think that you can control the bank interest rates, but the effect it would have on the economy would be dire. I will tell you, we need a free economy, which is only regulated. That's why CBK is there. If we control interest rates, first, you are discouraging investment in your country. And again, you are making your country, we are not living in isolation. You are making your country uncompetitive. Even the credit rating of your country will go down when you start putting some restrictions in terms of interest rates. So the economic effect of that would not, the economic effect, the negative side, is much more than the positive side. That is why we use the monetary policies of CBK to be able to deal with the rising interest rates. When interest rates were rising so fast, at a point we had 17.2 as the average lending rate in our banks, I think in 2024, November. Today it has come down to 14.6, 14.8. Why? Because of the intervention by CBK and also the National Treasury's support by stabilizing the foreign exchange, by taking some actions like de-risking our debt portfolio to remove the exposure that our economy was subjected to in 2024. So all this combined, and then asking banks and changing the system. Like now, we have changed the system of the overnight lending rate. I'm sure you're aware, Senator, that this will definitely help manage the interest rates or credit lending to the private sector, as opposed to coming in with tough regulatory regime that may not look friendly for, because we are in the international space. I think I'd already addressed the question by Senator Wambua. And now on the question by, I don't see Eddie Okech here. Eddie complained about ministers not being found. And like right now, honorable senators, if anyone was to call me, that person would not find me on the phone. And yesterday, actually from 2 p.m. to 6:30, I was engaged with 2 committees of National Assembly. And the previous day, I was with the committee of the Senate. That is aside from the engagement that I have in the office and the event that I have. So, but I'm really trying to be available to people's representatives. If Senator Okech was here, I would have said that at least him is lucky, because last Saturday we traveled with him together to a rally in Siaya. And so he got opportunity to talk to me, unlike Senator Cherargei, who has not had opportunity for a very long time to be with me. And I hope Senator Cheriot, who has also not had time, will have time this Friday to be with me in Suba. And so we can engage and discuss other matters. No, but I've invited you. Kajuang is my younger brother, so he will definitely come. So I wanted to stop there and just thank Mr. Speaker. I wanted to just stop there because I think I've addressed all the questions that I was asked, and just give a commitment once more that anytime I'm invited, I will be available. And ndugu yangu toka Embu, my great friend, yes, Senator, kama uko na swali yeyote kuhusu Embu, nitapea jawabu. Ukiandika na unitumie hiyo swali kwa wizara yangu, nitakuja hapa nikuelezee ni shida gani ama tutatatua namna gani. I just wanted to prove that I can speak some Kiswahili. You know, the way Moses put it is like I don't even understand Kiswahili, but I have a pass in Kiswahili to the extent that in 2007, when I was running for parliamentary seat, at that time Senate Speaker, there was a requirement that if you did not do a Kiswahili and pass in a high school, you had to do what we call proficiency test in either, both English and Kiswahili. Fortunately, I was passed that I could not do proficiency tests in both languages because I passed them in high school. So I am both proficient in English and Kiswahili, but I'm a master of Luo language. So thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
CS. Yes, Majority Leader.
Thank you for indulging me, Speaker, before the Cabinet Minister leaves. You know, this is a CS for Treasury, and it's important sometimes we engage him as a House on certain things. I know we're in the BPS season, Mr. Speaker, and I have said that I appreciate this Cabinet Minister because he's distinct in how he does his things. Part of the bigger problem the Senate of the Republic has always had with the National Treasury is how much they ignore the findings and the resolutions of the Senate with regards to BPS. They never respond to them. None of it is ever acted. So I want to challenge CS Mbadi that if you want to become successful even more than what you already have become, please take time and inbuilt into our national budget the recommendation from the Senate on the budget policy statement. All your other previous ministers have ignored it, and I don't want to say what the results have been. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, as a House, we have tried to pursue the very elusive 450 billion plus as shareable revenue to counties. Given that there are few key state departments that you are now taking off main national budget by funding them through the National Infrastructure Fund program, which the government is introducing, as you come back to us in a month or two, Minister, with the budget proposal, kindly try and push it as far as 450. That is a request from the Senate. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Honorable Senators, we have come to the end of question time with the CS. Senator Mandago, you've just walked in. We had actually concluded. It is only, I only gave the indulgence to the Majority Leader. Cabinet Secretary, I really thank you. He was speaking on behalf of the House. It was a matter of public BPS. Huh? No, we have to. We have the other Cabinet Secretary sitting and waiting to be asked questions. So can we please allow the Cabinet Secretary for Treasury to take leave? Cabinet Secretary, we thank you for your time. And Bwana Waziri, Senator Chute has really pleaded that he really wants to take that matter with you. So if maybe he will write to you to seek for an appointment with the details. So because I understand what he's asking requires your officers to look through it. So Chute, the CS, will be expecting a letter from you with the question and the details so that he can give you an appointment. That's in order. Thank you very much, Cabinet Secretary. Thank you very much and have a good afternoon. It's still morning, sorry. Good morning. Please show, Sergeant Trams, show in the next Cabinet Secretary. honorable senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this morning, visiting teachers and students from Mwongori High School in Nyamira County. The delegation consists of 7 teachers and 44 students. In our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to the Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to the delegation, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I thank you. Senator Enoch Wambua, you can welcome them.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for this opportunity to extend a word of welcome to the visiting delegation of our students and teachers from Nyamira County, and thank them for choosing to visit the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. I know that the senator for Nyamira, who is our commissioner in the Parliamentary Service Commission, and actually sits next to me, is at home undertaking important national duty and county duty. And I also want to thank the students and the teachers and send them to their parents to extend our appreciation from the alternative government for the warm reception that they have given our team in Nyamira and Kisii. If we continue this way, the future is looking very bright. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Cabinet Secretary, Interior and National Administration, Senator Murkomen, welcome to the House. Thank you very much for coming. We shall proceed straight to asking the questions because of time. The question number 3 to be asked by Shakila Mohammed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, question number 3, fatal shooting of Mr. Victor Kipngeno Mutai by police officers. Honorable Speaker, this is a question for Mr. nominated Senator, Honorable Joyce Korir, has requested to be apprised of the fatal shooting of Mr. Victor Kipngeno Mutai by police officers on 23rd July 2024 in Bomet County. The Honorable Member particularly sought to be informed on A, the current status of investigations into the death of Mr. Victor Kipngeno Mutai, who was fatally shot during a security operation by police officers from Silibweti Police Station in Bomet County. Number 2, whether the responsible police officers has been apprehended, and if not, outline the measures in place to facilitate the arrest and prosecution of the officer. And C, the measures in place to prevent police officers accused of extrajudiciary killing from interfering with investigations, and to ensure that those responsible are brought to books. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Cabinet Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once again, thank you for inviting me to this august house again to respond to these 2 questions. And because of time, I will go straight to the to respond straight to the question by Honorable Joyce Korir. Honorable Speaker, nominated Senator Honorable Joyce Korir has requested to be apprised of the fatal shooting of Mr. Victor Kipngeno Mutai by police officers on the 23rd of July 2024 in Bomet County. the honorable member particularly sought to be informed on the current status of the investigation, the current status of investigations into the death of Mr. Victor Kimweno, and I respond as follows. Honorable Speaker, on 23rd July 2024, a team of 7 police officers from Silibwet Police Station who were on patrol duties received intelligence reports that certain individuals were engaged in the sale of illicit alcohol beverage at Masese Market. At the scene, the officers found a large group of individuals taking the illicit alcohol drinks. When the officers attempted to effect the arrest, the group became hostile. In an effort to disperse the crowd and restore order, the officers discharged warning shots into the air, and during the ensuing confrontation, Mr. Victor Kimweno Mutai sustained fatal injuries. The incident was subsequently reported and recorded at the station via OB number 20/23/7/2024 at 21:15 hours. Investigations commenced immediately with the opening of inquiry file number 2 of 2024 by DCI Bomet Central. Upon completion of investigations, the file was forwarded to the Office of Director of Public Prosecutions on 12th September 2024 for perusal and legal advice. On the 2nd of December 2024, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions returned the inquiry file to the Director of Criminal Investigations with instructions to cover the gaps identified during the review. Similarly, the Independent Police Oversight Authority were informed and they commenced their own investigations into the matter. All officers who were actively on duty during the incident recorded their statements. The case remains pending under investigations. Number 2 is on whether the responsible police officer has been apprehended. Honorable Speaker, the Independent Policing Oversight Authority commenced its investigations concurrently with the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, which had opened an inquiry file and forwarded the 2 firearms surrendered by the officers to the National Forensic Laboratory for ballistic examination to preserve the evidence. Upon completion of the investigations, any officer found culpable will be dealt with according to the law. Regarding measures in place to prevent police officers accused of extrajudicial killings from interfering with investigations, Honorable Speaker, the following measures have been put in place to prevent police officers accused of extrajudicial killings from interfering with investigations and to ensure that those responsible are brought to book. 1, mechanisms have been put in place to ensure that the accused person have no access to the files or the witnesses. 2, Witness Protection Agency offers witness protection program for civilians and fellow officers. 3, courts should have authority to monitor investigations, compel production of evidence, and sanction delays or obstruction. 4, prosecution makes it a separate criminal offense for obstructing justice, witness intimidation, destroying of or altering evidence, and colluding to cover up unlawful killings. This ensures interference itself carries consequences. Number 5, the service ensures that any officer found culpable of committing any criminal offense or serious breach of discipline is promptly interdicted pending the conclusion of the case. 6, all members of service have been directed to fully cooperate with the oversight bodies such as Independent Policing Oversight Authority during any investigations into incidences involving police officers, and forensic evidence and ballistic reports are managed centrally to safeguard integrity and prevent tampering or undue influence. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Cabinet Secretary. Senator Shakila, you have a supplementary question.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this case is from 2024. We are on 2026 now. If the minister can tell us what is the expected timeline for completion of the inquiry and submission of the final report, and if has the government provided any considered providing interim financial assistance to the victim's family pending the outcome of investigations, and what is the ministry's policy or legal framework governing compensation for victims of such incidents. Finally, could the cabinet secretary clarify whether the family has been formally engaged or informed on available remedies and support mechanism? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Cabinet Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the part of timeline, Mr. Speaker, you know, the areas that are the DPP requested to be covered are yet to be completed, and the ballistic analysis is also ongoing. What I can promise is that from a policy perspective, I will request the IG to make sure that that process is expedited in terms of for policy purposes. But in terms of directing on when and how, the Cabinet Secretary does not have the capacity or is not allowed by law to direct how the investigations will be carried out and at what speed. However, it is important that to know that justice delayed is justice denied, and it's important for those areas to be covered. It should be noted that DCI had already been satisfied that they had enough evidence to proceed with the case. However, the DPP considered that there were legal gaps. That's why they requested that those gaps be covered. On the part of compensation, unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, there is no government policy. There is no whatsoever policy that compensates victims of crime, not just by in this situation, but also in generally when it comes to, because people ask us if someone is killed, for example, by a civilian, should they be compensated because police should have protected that person, or if property is stolen, or if someone is in any case inflicted with grievous bodily harm, should the government cover the hospital bills? Unfortunately, there's no law nor government policy that provides that victims of crimes must be compensated in any way. However, in the broad-based arrangement or agreement that was put together by former Prime Minister and the President, and between the ODM and the UDA party, there was an agreement, a political agreement that led to, that had legal and policy consequences towards victims of police brutality. That a committee was set up. Unfortunately, there was a court order again against the committee that stopped the operations of the committee, and that could have covered the specific case, this specific case of Bomet, because it falls within the purview of police brutality between 2017 and 2025 at that point in time when that committee was put in place. So perhaps when those processes, the processes are completed in court, there may be an opportunity for us to take care of this family on that particular case. However, it needs to be known that there are victims of crime all over the country, banditry, Al-Shabaab, and other terrorism activities, yet none of them gets compensation as a result of the same, because there is no legal framework, neither constitutional nor legislative nor policy framework for the same. On the issue of family is fully aware of the process of the court process. However, as you said, there would be no information to give the family on compensation until that policy framework is put in place. And as soon as that is done, then the family will be made aware that the process of compensating victims of police brutality is ongoing, and then they will receive the necessary compensation as shall be established as we progress. Thank you.
CS, now we move on to questions by other members, senators. Senators, remember it's one question each. Please take note of the questions. We will ask the questions and then give you opportunity to answer all of them. Senator Mandago.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Just from the response of the Cabinet Secretary and the policy on compensation, I would like to know whether his ministry is considering, both policy is a ministerial issue, is considering passing a policy on compensation of victims of police brutality, or proposing or giving Parliament or Senate the legislative proposals for us to amend so that these victims of police brutality are compensated. Of course, we are aware that there was an effort and some people went to court because sometimes we don't understand these people who say we want these people to be compensated. They are the ones who are also saying they will go to court. So we'd like to know from the Cabinet Secretary whether they have a plan to put in place a policy for compensation of victims of police brutality.
Senator Manzo.
I would like to indicate to the good senator that the Honorable Millie Odhiambo actually did a law, bring a law to Kenya called Victim Protection Act. And also there was a Victim Compensation Act, which had
Senator
been
Manzo, are you asking a question or are you informing somebody? Please ask your question.
Okay, let me just ask a question then. Now that the CS has said there is no policy, what plans does he have to have a victims compensation policy and also an act of parliament to that effect so that a fund may be set up to be compensating such victims of police brutality? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Nyuto.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Madam Speaker, sorry. I would like to ask the CS what he is doing to see to it that incidents of the police killing wananchi, whether innocent or otherwise, are reduced, if not completely, arrested, Madam Speaker. And I ask this because in the recent past, there has been very many such incidents, Madam Speaker. In my county, I already have one man that was killed in a police cell called Mukura.
Senator Nyoto, you've asked the question, okay? You have asked the question. You don't need to speak. Don't use the opportunity to speak to the issues you have asked.
Madam Speaker, sometimes it's good to show the basis
yes,
of
but
the
you know the
question
rules.
that one is asking.
You know the rules of, the basis is actually question number 3. So please sit down. You've asked the question. Senator Cherarki.
Madam Speaker, my question is related to question 001 by Senator Joyce. Mine is to find out from the cabinet minister, because he's always quick to say in media and political rallies, the status of the investigation of killing of Father Alois Cheruiyot at Bed, the killings that happened in Kimwani, in Tindred constituency in Nandi County, and on the status including policy and any administrative action taken against senior police officers on the youth attack by the police playing pool game in Nandi Hills Town in Nandi County. I yield back, Madam Speaker.
Senator Wambua.
Madam Speaker, allow me to use the dispatch. This is the closest that I can get to the CS. I don't see a lot of him these days. Yeah, sure. So, Madam Speaker, first of all, is to control with the family of Victor Kipngeno for the loss of their kin. Madam Speaker, my question is based on the policy direction that the CS is giving or is considering to give the National Police Service. Because, Madam Speaker, the killings by police officers have become too commonplace. What policy direction is he giving to the service to ensure that everybody feels comfortable in presence of police officers? I thank you.
Senator Veronica Maina.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and welcome back to Senate. Honorable CS, We have not seen you. You might need to be giving us a time slot when we can see you. So we sort some of those issues. Honorable CS, with the concerns that are being raised by Kenyans against the police service, for the way they are managing riots, political rallies, what policy intervention have you undertaken or are you undertaking to ensure that the police are more friendly to the people, that people do not face the gun as opposed to a negotiation with the police? And what are you doing to ensure that the heightened political tension right now in the rallies does not escalate to limits that the police may not even be able to control? Because right now there is such heavy tension, and 2027 is very far off. Thank you.
Senator Shakila, you already asked supplementary questions. Is it a different matter? You already asked the supplementary questions to this question.
It's related to the same, Madam Speaker.
You had already had your bite at it. That's the point I'm making. CS, you may now answer the questions. I have noted that Senator Gerard Gay's questions are linked to question 003C, but should you not be able to give the full detail, I think you may want to undertake to provide that information later, but if you are able to answer, then you can answer. You may proceed, CS.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First, let me say that on the part of this question by policy on the victims of police brutality, in terms of compensating victims of police brutality. Police brutality is manifested in various forms and style. And forms is the most important thing to say here. There are those that happen as a result of police officers undertaking their duties or when they ought to perform their duties. For example, during rallies and during public protests and picketing and so forth. That is what the broad-based arrangement was trying to deal with victims of such situations where people were exercising their constitutional right and in the process they have lost their lives. And there was a cut period of 2017 to 2025 for the process that was injuncted by court. We hope that that process can quickly be sorted, and a consent may be recorded in court to enable this administration to do something that is unprecedented. First of all, let me start by saying that police brutality did not start 3 years ago with this administration. Police brutality was actually has been witnessed since 1963. But it was even heavy in the last administration, Mr. Speaker, where our friends now are considered by people on the other side of political divide to be very clean. I see sometimes, which is a paradox, Madam Speaker, that sometimes you find today complainers about police brutality are actually dining together with the people they still not have answered questions on police brutality in the last administration. But be that as it may, because that is really has become the level of hypocrisy in our country. As soon as someone joins certain political wing, they are no longer being held into account. And so to avoid such situations, I decided on July 18th of July last year to give a written policies document, a directive to the IG on conditions as to the use of force and firearm by police officers so that it can guide them when are they using their firearm, what we should do, what kind of officers should be deployed, what is the mental health status of a police officer who's being deployed, so that we don't have situations where officers who are struggling with mental health challenges are being deployed and then they use their firearm to kill civilians. So that then in future, if I find myself in the same situation with my predecessor, who I see now is busy campaigning, and I'm asked a question, at least I have a basis of Madam Speaker saying, showing Kenyans what I have done to guide on the process of police brutality. If the people of Kenya, if we now talk about police brutality generally, there is also police brutality in other situations that are unrelated to exercise of your own right. Sometimes police officers are accused of harassing detainees or remandees, not detainees, remandees. Sometimes you are accused of killing colleagues in police stations. They are accused of harassing and hurting innocent citizens, collecting bribes and so forth. And we cannot deny, because there are some police officers, errant police officers, who bring a bad name to the police service. But you have a service of over 100,000 police officers. You can't blame everybody because of a few of them who have erred. Number two is that, so therefore, this victims protection compensation policy can only be better served by law. It cannot just be a policy, because after that, a budgetary provision must be given by Parliament. This is something that we must discuss deeply, and even to the extent of who is a victim and who is a victim of police brutality. When is a police officer considered to be committing an offense in the course of duty, to the extent that he is not personally liable, the state should be able to compensate anyone. So I encourage, somebody had asked whether we think we should we should come up with a legislative proposal. I think I encourage members of Parliament to come up with these proposals and show us how best we can be able to move forward on this issue. Honorable Nyutu, on the reduction of police, I think I have answered generally to say that we are working very hard. One of the ways that we will reduce the impact of police interventions in public gatherings and public meetings is, Madam Speaker, to make sure that our police officers are properly trained. During Jukwaa la Usalama forum that we did last year, we really came to understand that police training is an issue that we must work on. Most police officers are trained only once in their lifetime during recruitment. And some of them, we even discovered after the death of Honorable Ngondo Were, the Speaker, who is the chair of Parliamentary Service Commission of National Assembly, requested an IG to train your VIP protection police officers, because some of you are having bodyguards who have never gone for training for the last 10, 15, 20 years. For the time they have been with you, they have never fired even one bullet anywhere. And so, Madam Chair, I thank the Chair of Parliamentary Service Commission for inviting the IG to train those officers. So continuous training is a very important issue within the police service, and I appreciate the fact that all of us now believe that we should give the necessary budgetary allocation for continuous training. Currently, the National Police Service has revamped the regional training centers in many parts of the country to ensure that we have a framework for continuous training for police officers on human rights, on the Constitution itself, on managing crowds. At the moment, I want to report to the country that we are undertaking a training for our police officers to be ready to manage crowds differently, and that training is ongoing now, and we are taking a number of police officers in different contingents so that we can deploy them ahead of the others when there is public functions and or protests that may ensue. But the best remedy, Madam Speaker, is in this House. It is with the members of Parliament. It's with our leaders. if we change the way we do our politics, we will not need to deploy a single police officer. There are counties in this country that politicians are campaigning day in, day and out. They don't go around with any police officer because the ethics, the behavior, the values that they have as they campaign in their counties, both their citizens and those who are asking for votes understand that violence is not useful or helpful to anybody. But there are parts of this country that before elected leaders go for any function, they first have to spend money hiring either goons or gangs to accompany them to those functions. And Mr. Speaker, the solution is in this chamber. The solution is in this chamber and similar places where leaders are. If we can organize our politics differently, we will not need to deploy a single police officer. And even when we deploy just in case of a few criminals in there, they will not need to fire any single bullet because the politics are organized, they're clear, they're clean. Now there is a continuous spread of goonism and hooliganism across the country. It used to be confined to the urban cities, to the cities actually. It used to be Nairobi problem, Kisumu, and a few other places. But now it's become a national problem. Even in rural areas, elected leaders and aspiring leaders are actually organizing goons across the country. I think that is the existential threat to national security in this country, because those who are organizing, Madam Speaker, are in both sides of the political divide. They are in different level of political campaign, and eventually they say, why did the police fire a bullet, or why did the police kill somebody? But had we not organized the goons to come to our meetings, we could not have that situation. Thank you. Madam Speaker, I think the other issue was there's a good question that was asked by the Senator of Nandi regarding the investigations that are going on in that accusation of alleged police brutality in Nandi County, and in the situation of Father Alois, who died in our county last year. Madam, in the county where I come from, that's Elgeyo Marakwet County, and was killed by suspected bandits. Madam Speaker, I can speak authoritatively on the question of Father Alois, because that's something I know, and I have followed through the story. The biggest challenge the police are facing is to get witnesses, even where investigation lead to certain suspects. The problem is to get the witnesses, and where, because many people get intimidated not to come forward to provide evidence. The other challenge was that these are illegal firearms. So even when you do ballistic analysis, the challenge is how to link that firearm to a person, because it is not a legally issued firearm. So, but the police officers have been doing everything they could to sort this issue. I'm glad also to note that despite the terrible situation that faced Father Alois and his family, that as a result of that incident, police and the security sector having worked very hard, we've been able to disarm all the criminals that were within that area of Marakwet East. And now we can confidently say we have removed nearly all the guns. If there's any gun, there must be someone who is hiding somewhere with it. But we have collected over 1,300 guns in the Kerio Valley belt as a result of our targeted operations. And I want to thank the security team and the community for cooperating, and continue sending condolences to the family of Father Alois, whom I visited. And we continue praying for that family, even in this in this situation that they found themselves difficult times. On the question of the other issues within Nandi County, I think the Honorable Senator can bring a specific question. Then we can respond, Madam Chair, formally, either through the committee or the chamber. On the use of force, on Senator Wambua, I had already responded to that issue on my policy directive on use of force that I issued on 18th of July 2025. On the question of rallies, I think Honorable Veronica Maina, I have also responded to that issue in terms of Yes, the police are being trained to manage public crowds in situations that may come up during rallies, but it's more important for us to organize ourselves better. I think that's it. Yeah, I don't think there was any other question. I thank you, Madam Chair.
Honorable Senators, we now move on to question number 4. And this is a question by Senator Professor Tom Ojenda, but Senator Wafula Wakoli will ask on his behalf. You may proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to welcome Waziri Kipchumba. And your entrance, I can see one of our daughters of the soil giving you tips of wisdom. Allow me to proceed, Honorable Speaker. Waziri knows.
Senator Wakoli, why are you conversing instead of asking the question? Please proceed.
Honorable Speaker, our people say the hyena told the stone, whether you keep silent or not, you have heard. Honorable Speaker, let me proceed. Could the Cabinet Secretary provide details on the registered incidents of mob justice and related fatalities from January 2025 to date? B, what measures have been put in place to enhance police responsiveness to mob justice incidents, strengthen investigative capabilities, and facilitate the prosecution of perpetrators? C, what measures are being implemented by the government to address public mistrust of law enforcement agencies and the judicial system, which are key drivers of mob justice? D, what other factors have contributed to the overall increase in mob justice incidents across the country? And could the Cabinet Secretary explain the actions being taken to address them? Thank you, Honorable Speaker. This is a statement on behalf of Professor Tom Ojenda. Thank you.
It's a question. CS, you may answer the question.
Madam Speaker, this is a very broad question, and I beg your indulgence to respond accordingly. On the first part, on the details of the registered incidents of mob injustice and related fatalities from January 2025 to date, Honorable Speaker, the following are the reported incidents of mob injustice and related fatalities in the country from January 2025 to date. Yeah, I have given the list, and I don't wish to read all of it for all these counties. But just to capture a few, you'll find that in counties like Machakos, we have 22 fatalities, in Embu 33, in Kisumu 36 fatalities, in Vihiga 20, in Kilifi 18, in Kisii 18, in Migori 19, and in Nairobi 55 fatalities of mob injustice. Sorry, Kiambu was higher, 58. That points to a very serious issue, Madam Speaker, of rule of law. And people generally don't believe in the judicial system and the justice system of the country, all the way from arrest to prosecution to conviction. And when you ask this question, before even I go to part 2, when you ask this question all the time, why do people resort to mob justice or what mob injustice? The answer is always that if this person is taken to court, he will be released on bail. Because people don't understand bond, bail. They don't also understand that the justice system requires certain level of burden of proof. They cannot, and sometimes they blame the police when someone has been arrested, charged, and released on bail. So some of these things are escalating this kind of mob injustice. And to have 58 in Kiambu and 55 in Nairobi is a measure of something.
Order, Senator Lemaletian, can you kindly respect the House and bow? I did not see. Thank you, Senator. Proceed,
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I don't know if I'm allowed to say I used to sit exactly where you sat as a temporary speaker. And I appreciate the work you're doing. Number 2 is measures that have been put in place to enhance police responsiveness to mob injustice incidents, strengthen investigative capabilities, and facilitate the prosecution of perpetrators. Honorable Speaker, the following measures have been taken to enhance police responsiveness to mob injustices incidents. Number 1, encourage local communities to collaborate with police in reporting suspicious activities and preventing mob violence. 2, deployment of police officers to respond quickly to incidents of mob injustice, especially in urban centers. 3, use of toll-free hotlines and digital platforms to report mob violence, enabling faster police deployment. And 4, enhanced training of police officers on crowd control. The following measures have been taken to strengthen investigative capabilities of police officers. First, independent policing oversight authority was established to investigate police misconduct and to ensure that there is accountability, which indirectly builds public trust and reduces reliance on mob justice. 2, expanded directorate of criminal investigation, forensic and intelligence capabilities to investigate crimes more effectively. 3, training programs for officers on human rights, evidence collection, and handling mob-related cases. The following measures have been taken to facilitate prosecution of perpetrators. 1, strengthen coordination with police to ensure mob justice is prosecuted with sufficient evidence. 3, provide security for witnesses in mob justice cases, encouraging testimony that supports successful prosecution. And finally, efforts to reduce case backlogs, ensuring timely trials for mob justice perpetrators. However, concerns have been raised over the rising incidence of mob justice. Such incidents often involve, I have used mob justice and injustice interchangeably, Madam Speaker. It still means the same thing, one being a paradox because it cannot be justice and it's mob at the same time. However, concerns have been raised over the rising incidence of mob justice. Such incidents often involve violent attacks, public humiliation, and in some cases fatalities before suspects can be formally investigated or prosecuted. To address this, the government has put in place several measures aimed at preventing mob justice and ensuring lawful handling of suspects. 1, national government officers are continuously sensitizing citizens on the importance of informing the police wherever they arrest a suspect or when incidents occur. 2, the service standing orders require all police stations to maintain a standby team to respond to incidents, including mob justice, and it is therefore the responsibility of station commanders to ensure the swift response and management of such cases. 3, toll-free number including Fichua kwa DCI toll-free hotline 0800 722 203 allow members of the public to promptly report crimes, suspicious activities, or emerging mob situations. 4, the service is strengthening the use of communication technology through integrated command, control, and communication framework to enhance quick response to incidents such as mob justice. Measures being implemented by the government to address public mistrust of law enforcement agencies and the judicial system, which are key drivers of mob injustice. Honorable Speaker, to address public mistrust of law enforcement agencies and the judicial system, the government is 1, conducting prompt and thorough investigations and ensuring that suspects are arraigned in court before court of law within the prescribed timelines. 2, intensifying community engagements initiatives as a proactive measure. 3, through structured forums, barazas, nyumba kumi, meetings, and regular consultative sessions, the government officials sensitize members of the public against taking the law into their own hands and encouraging the use of established criminal justice mechanisms to address grievances and report offenses. 4, establishing accessible and structured mechanisms through which members of public can lodge complaints or report misconduct. These include reporting to the public, Police Quality Assurance Department and the reporting to the Police Quality Assurance Department and the Internal Affairs Unit of the National Police Service. The service is implementing digital systems for police records, including the occurrence book, to improve transparency, accountability, and efficiency in handling incidents. This enables the public to monitor cases in real time, ensuring prompt police response, and helps minimize delays and mistrust in the police. The other factors that have contributed to overall increase in mob injustice incidents across the country and the actions being taken to address them. Honorable Speaker, other factors that may have contributed to these incidences include mistrust in the criminal justice system, as some members of public perceive investigations and court process to be slow, ineffective, or biased. The release of suspects often reinforces this perception, prompting communities to take law into their own hands. 2, circulation of crime-related content and instant justice videos on social media platforms triggers copycat incidents and normalizes violence as a dispute resolution mechanism. 3, abuse of hard drugs, impairing judgment, and increases impulsive and violent behavior, contributing to mob-related incidences. Number 4, high levels of poverty and unemployment, particularly among the youth, coupled with limited economic opportunities, contribute to increased petty crimes and youth involvement in criminal activities, which often provoke mob retaliation and subsequent mob justice incidences. 5, groups engaged in organized illegal activities such as theft, robbery, and drug trafficking, whose actions can provoke mob retaliation and escalate violence in communities. To mitigate these factors, the government is strengthening the community policing and enhancing investigative capacity, improving collaboration with the Office of the Directorate of Public Prosecutions, and increasing public engagements to restore confidence among the members of public. 2, conducting targeted public education campaigns and sensitization fora to discourage violent responses. 3, conducting a crackdown on drug use and illicit substance circulation to reduce associated violent behavior. 4, engaging youth through community programs, mentorship, and advisory sessions with local administrations and religious leaders. And 5, conducting a crackdown on criminal gangs through targeted operations, arrests, and disruptions of their activities. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Wakoli, do you have supplementary questions? You don't. We have quite a number of questions, follow-up questions, and I request the senators to go straight to the question so that we can give everyone a chance. Senator Chute.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, our CS has been in this house before, and I wanted the CS to tell this house, how do we communicate with him? We have issues of abduction in Marsabit, extrajudicial killings in Marsabit. I sent a letter to him, a statement that I've made to him on 25th.
Senator Chute, the question is supposed to be related to this question that has been asked.
Yeah, it's a communication, madam. So, this issue has been raised earlier by even Senator Eddy. I sent a letter to him on 25th. On 8th August 2025, no reply. Then that is on abduction. Then on extrajudicial killing, I sent a letter to him on 27th of January 2026 which was received from his office on 28th.
Senator Chuta, you risk me actually calling you out of order.
I'm finished. Let me
because the question is about mob injustice. So you are supposed to ask a question that is related to what the CS was asked.
Madam Speaker, what I'm trying to ask is if there was mob justice, for example, and I want to communicate with the Speaker, with the CS, how do I communicate with him if there is a problem in Marsabit County? Because he is here today before us. And
it is noted.
Thank you.
It is noted.
So again, that letter was received on 28th January 2026. Today is 25th February 2026. There is no reply up to today. So your efficiency, you have many officers working in your office. You cannot ask one officer to reply to my letters. That, Madam, and this I speak on behalf of all the senators who are here today. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Seki.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Question to CS. CS, I think you're very much aware on the police brutality in Kitengela most of the times, and this brings issues of this question that's on the table. And we have been wondering, maybe why are these issues of police brutalities and killing in my county particularly? Is it just because probably you had been given some instructions some times back that people should be killed? And in that,
Order, Senator
I wanted to know.
Senator Seki, please follow the rules of question time.
Yeah,
the question
within the
is about mob injustices.
That is where,
no, what you have asked so far has nothing to do with that.
It is about mob.
It has nothing to do with that.
It is about that. So I'm asking the CS to tell us why is it because
Senator
of that
Mandago,
instruction that
Senator
you've given out
Hold on,
that
Senator
people
Seki.
in Kajiado
Senator
are being
Seki,
killed?
please, order. Senator Mandago, what is your point of order?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, first, the people in the dispatch must always ensure on the chair, ask the senator to sit, they should switch off the mic. Madam Speaker, I just wanted to ask understanding under 105, whether the Honorable Senator for Kajiado.
Senator Cherarkey, this is you don't have the right to just speak. Okay? Let's follow the rules.
Thank you very much,
Senator Mandago is on a point of order. Can we listen? Can we hear that point of order?
105, to ask whether the senator for Kajiado is in order to allege that the Cabinet Secretary for Interior issued a shoot to kill order. Can he substantiate or provide evidence? Because this is a house of records, and we cannot allow people to make sweeping statements that are alarming.
Senator Seki, you actually made reference as to whether the CS had instructed killings. Do you want to substantiate that? Or, Senator Wambua, please allow me to coordinate this. He stood on a point of order. Let Senator Seki respond, and then you can raise your issue.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, I can substantiate that given time. And if you allow me to finish up the question. My people are, the county is bleeding.
Senator Chuta, what is your point of order?
Honorable Speaker, let me refer you to our Standing Order 51(5)(c). Let me start with the, first of all, A. The Cabinet Secretary shall appear in person on the day on which the respective question is listed for response. B. He shall respond to the question. And C. May, with the permission of the Speaker, make a statement on any other matter pertaining to respective state department. So, Honorable Speaker, you can allow the Senator to ask questions because it says may. And
May, with the permission of the Speaker, I have not granted
Yes.
that permission.
So-
I'm sorry.
so-
Please, Senator.
so let me finish, Madam Speaker.
Yeah.
Yes.
Senator Chute, I have actually responded to you. May, with the permission of the Speaker. Senator Wambua, what is your point of order?
Madam Speaker, and I want you to hear this because I want to address the chair. Madam Speaker, mine is a plea, really a very humble plea to the chair. That, you know, you raise on a point of order, like the one that Senator Madago asked, on substantiation of facts, in the absence of the subject of the question being raised. The CS is here. The question that Senator Seki has asked, the CS has capacity to respond to the question being asked. I don't see why a senator should rise on a point of order and seek substantiation when the subject of the question is in the House. I mean, it doesn't make sense, Madam Speaker.
Senator Wambua, you are out of order. Substantiation is of a point of fact. And Senator Seki, you have asked for more time. The next session is this afternoon. Please, you will have the opportunity to substantiate. Can you finalize your question, please?
So, Honorable Speaker, I wanted the Cabinet Secretary to clarify why these killings. We have been having public engagement, rallies in Kajiado. My people are being killed like rats, and he's in the office. And in one incident, he gave instructions. Is it because of that? That is the question. He needs to clarify to this House. And if it's not that, then he needs to apologize to Kenyans why my people in Kajiado are being killed like rats by the same government.
Senator Manzo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to ask the CS, now that he has provided the data as to mob injustices killings, does he also have a data for mistaken identity killings? Because a lot of times in those mob justice scenarios or injustice, it's a case of mistaken identity. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Kisang.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is, I wanted to find out from the CS, between his ministry and the Minister of Transport, if they have any plan, because sometimes, Madam Speaker, some of the mob injustices arise as a result of road accidents between border riders and vehicles. So do they have a plan or policy in place so that, you know, there should be some continuous sensitization, training of the border riders on these laws?
Senator Newton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The CS has said that, of course, having admitted that mob justice or injustice is happening because people have little trust in law enforcement agencies, Madam Speaker. And the CS has said that one of the steps that the ministry is taking is under number 4, establishing accessible and structured mechanisms through which members of the public can lodge complaints or report misconduct. And these include reporting to Police Quality Assurance Department and the Internal Affairs Unit. So, Madam Speaker, my question is, until there was an attack on ACK Wetima in Othaya Nyeri, very few people in Kenya had heard about this Internal Affairs Unit within the police. So the question then to CS Murkomen is, exactly where is it based? Where will our people be able to report to? And can they trust the Internal Affairs Unit of the police, where the police are investigating fellow police officers who commit injustices? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Aaron Cheruiyot.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, I also have a question. This is a very serious matter we are discussing, because mob justice on many occasions leads actually to death, and we have been given the statistics by the minister. And the minister should pay very close attention to this subject, particularly those that are politically instigated. For example, Madam Speaker, I've just seen a video of a young man who was attacked by a mob this morning, people carrying machetes and rungus somewhere in Nyamira, because I think he held a contrary view to the ongoings by a section of the political faction in the country. And therefore, there is a connection between politicians and their political activities and some of these mob justice incidences, which perhaps the ministry needs to give policy direction on, and the desire to hold political players who maybe incite young people to violence and things of the sort to be brought to book as a lesson, because it may not be possible, Madam Speaker, to arrest those people who commit those acts at that particular time, but at least the politicians that instigate them, if they are known, particularly those that are actively engaging young people to engage in such activities. What plans do the ministry have? And you know, Madam Speaker, why it should be of concern to the minister is that in 2021, when we were in the opposition with him, we were victims of political mob justice also in a place called London Ward in Nakuru. And the only reason why perhaps maybe he may have forgotten is that because he's quicker than me, he ran faster and he did not fall victim to the gangs like I did.
Senator Kiruyot, I want to cut you short because of the left time. Now we have 4 more senators. Ask your question quick because we only have 10 minutes for all those questions to be asked and answered. Senator Hezena.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I welcome the CS for CS Murkomen to the House. Just remind him that he should please kindly be picking our calls. Madam Speaker, there's been rising menace, like I said recently in a statement I made on the floor of this House on the gangs are across the whole country, and Samburu, Madam Speaker, was not an exception, because in Maralal town,
Senator, sorry to rush you. Please just go straight to the question. The time is short.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to know what the ministry has done to ensure that the police at the grassroots are strengthened and facilitated enough to be able to deal with the criminal gangs that are mushrooming across the whole country, especially in urban centers. In Maralal, we had a case of a boy being stabbed.
Senator, your question has been asked. Senator Veronica.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. CS, on this question of mob justice, I don't know whether you have put focus on the conflict between border sector when there are accidents, because some of those mob justices have occurred from those incidences. And number 2, from politically instigated public gatherings. Honorable CS, you should feel the freedom to even ban public gatherings if people are going to be clobbered and beaten, killed, Senator, in the name of politics.
Senator Veronica, please just ask the question.
And honorable, let me then ask the specific question. Why are you not working very closely with IEBC to ensure politicians who have overstepped their mandate within a public gathering which turns violent is brought to book and punished for those actions? Women are no longer addressing those gatherings.
Senator
Honorable
Mondege.
CS.
Asante Bwana Spika, na swali langu ni kuuliza waziri wa ulinzi.
Senator Mondege, sio Bwana Speaker.
Madam Speaker, swali langu ni kuuliza waziri wa ulinzi, kulingana na joto ile inaendelea vyama na tunaelekea uchaguzi wa mwaka wa 2027. Unaweza kuwa utasaidia namna gani ndio tukifika pale mambo ya ulinzi itakuwa sawa, ndio tusipate shinda, kwa sababu inaonekana vyama mingi ama watu wenyewe wanapigana, wanarudi serikali.
Senator Beatrice Ogola.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. CS Murkomen, so far you are doing well. Madam Speaker, last weekend I was at home with the public.
Ogola,
the question is, Madam Speaker, CS Kanyikela Ward was gazetted. The people are asking, when will it be activated? That is in Dewa sub-county.
I don't know whether that is linked to the question. Senator Mandago.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I wanted to ask the Cabinet Secretary, in relation to his response to Section C of question number 4 on the mistrust of the public on law enforcement, what is he doing to ensure that the law enforcement officers who coordinate with goons, like in Eldoret, where 300 goons are roaming the city, well known to the OCS, so that the public trust can be restored?
Honorable CS, you have 7 minutes. Actually, 6 minutes. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 34, 2A, I will extend the time by 10 minutes. So we will end the session at 1:10. CS, you may answer the questions.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Starting with, I think the first question was Senator Chute. Yes, Senator Chute. On the abductions, extrajudicial killings, Madam Speaker, yes, I received this letter, and Madam Speaker, the question is still with the IG to respond, because on security issues in related to investigations, abductions, extrajudicial killing, the response comes from the IG, and I believe that the IG will respond accordingly. There is also no harm if the Senator would ask the question formally through this House, so that we can bring the answer to the chambers, because there's nothing private about it, about the issue that he has raised. On the question of Madam Chair on Honorable Seki on police brutality, I think he came late. I served as his vice chair for a few days in this chamber before I was appointed to the cabinet. And Senator Seki knows very well who I am, or ought to know that I cannot order any killing of anybody. If it is referring to an incident that happened when the Kikuyu law courts were banned, and I asked a rhetorical question to the public as to whether, if a man comes with guns to steal guns from a police officer, whether the police officer should not use force. I also moved forward, Madam Speaker, to provide later on 18th of July 2025 a document, a policy document that I can be held accountable. I can be held into account for on 18th of July, that spells out incidences where the police officers can use force and they can use their firearm. I do not mind sharing the same letter to Senator Seki, or through the Senate social WhatsApp group, which has now been made public, that I'm a member, previously by the minority whip of the Senate. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, on the question of to speak, Kitengela is facing very serious challenge, and I think the senator should not simplify that issue. Kitengela is a serious hotspot for criminal gangs that are actually utilized by politicians, particularly that share very close relations with the senator. And Madam Speaker, Kitengela's problem has not just happened yesterday. It has been an issue for the last 15 or so years. It was also more serious when Michuki was the cabinet secretary or the minister at that point in time, and it was one of the areas that was full of Mungiki sect players that caused havoc in both Kajiado and Nairobi from as early as 2000. So that effort that the police have done so far has improved the status of Kitengela. However, politicians, and particularly those who want to incite the public against the government, have been hiring young boys and goons and criminals in the name of protests. And I don't want the senator to provoke me to say more than that because of mutual respect. But what is important is to say that It is important for the political actors on both sides of the political divide, but specifically those who held rallies recently and those who organized Maandamano last year, to stop utilizing young people and arming them to cause violence with rungus, machetes, and all that, and provoking police officers. In fact, in our national police security strategy, Kitengela, we have a particular plan about Kitengela, including when the president recently told us to think about the Nairobi metropolitan security sector, Kitengela and some parts of, together with some parts of Nairobi, Machakos, Kiambu, are actually hotspots that we need to really look at criminal gangs. And I'm not saying goons, criminal gangs that operate from Kitengela itself. This is a threat to national security, and I do not wish the senator to think that the people of Kitengela are his people. They are the people of Kenya. They are our people. There is our country. There is no particular section of this nation that should be left to criminals in any manner. And I wish the senator would use the same spirit in dismantling, helping us to dismantle these gangs. On the police brutality, on the Chute, again, oh, sorry, that's what was, I already responded to Honorable Chute on that issue. I think the only thing I'll think is the standing order that Honorable Chute read, I think 55 or 50. Madam Speaker, it is your discretion to give the Cabinet Secretary to respond to something that you may give directions as the Speaker. It is not to divert from the, the subject matter that we are dealing with and move to other subjects that the Cabinet Secretary is not prepared to come and respond. On Senator Manso's, mob justice is definitely mistaken identity, or it's the wrong way of doing, because you cannot say this is the criminal until there is evidence. So you are actually, it's innocent until proven guilty. And it is true that there are cases where mob justice target people who are absolutely not related with a suspected crime at all, or being even somebody who was not even present there as a passerby. And in some instances that have been reported, innocent people have been attacked by mob. It is true what Honorable Gisang and his neighbor, both Senator Gisang and Senator Veronica, have raised similar issues on border riders and the issues of mob injustice. This is a sector that is, I think we may have to discuss measures we are putting in place, but already we are working with the Ministry of Transport to see if they can make mandatory identification for border riders, including their area of operation, including their code of conduct and so forth. We expected that there was going to be better self-regulation, but now crimes are being perpetrated by criminals riding motorcycles and hiding behind border business. And it is really causing havoc in this city and other parts of the country, because the border itself can easily access Panya routes and other areas that make it very difficult for law enforcers to really identify them quickly because of their sheer numbers and the people they carry. We have a plan to deal with also the ones who have been causing havoc in the city, muggings, robberies in this city, where a border rider is riding with three others. Three criminals are riding in one motorcycle, others are robbing people, and the one who is riding is aiding and abetting and enabling that crime. So border sector remains a challenge. Some work is being done by our county security teams, but we need to upscale that work with the Ministry of Transport, and those are issues that were raised in our Jukwaa la Usalama, and we are looking for ways to make sure that this is sorted. But this is not happening without political support. Again, there are politicians that own and support these groups, and they use them for their political events, and they come gladly knowing that once they are in these political events, they will, apart from what they are being paid to come and do, because many politicians pay them, they will also rob people around the city and other parts of the country. And again, as I said earlier, if it starts with us, and I agree with Majority Leader that we must be seen to be enforcing the law, regardless of who you are or who the person is, by arresting these people. We will need a more lethal force to deal with these gangs. Unfortunately, the environment we are operating in, there is no consensus as to whether we should deal with these gangs using lethal force. And you see, because some of them are armed, if they engage police officers, some people will die. And as soon as somebody dies, I will be brought here, oh, the government is killing people, oh, you know, it's our people, oh, it's our youth. Even someone who burned a police station, wanted to steal ammunitions, somebody who was attacking police officers, somebody who has burned their court, somebody attacking somebody's business. If we do anything, we are told that this government is killing our youth, and of course it becomes the political slogan for our competitors. So it is important that there is national consensus. Let's stop just paying lip service to this conversation. There must be a national consensus to support the IG and the National Police Service. If CS Michuki had not carried a very painful exercise to get rid of Mungiki, we could not be where we are. In the same way, recently in my own county and the neighboring counties, we had to support the police to carry out serious operations against the bandits. We could not have collected 1,300 gangs without proper political support, both from my office and the local community. So there must be a consensus in the city that we need to clean the city. And the political leaders, despite their political side, must agree. You cannot allow these muggings that are happening here, and robberies and people and gangs, people occupying people's property, threatening people, hurting men and women and children. I hope we will close ranks when the IG soon announces further measures on this area. On the question of internal affairs unit, I agree with Senator Newtu that maybe internal affairs unit needs to publicize its operations or cases so that Kenyans can understand that there is a mechanism. But there is a constitutional mechanism, of course, in the national IPOA, the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, who has constitutional duty to investigate all the police officers. The measures internally that have been for the police is to make sure that you quickly take administrative action and disciplinary action on the part of the police officer as you wait for the criminal act that is going to, the criminal investigation, the investigations by IPOA. In some cases, the DCI will just arrest a police officer and they charge them in court. You don't have to wait for IPOA. So those mechanisms are there. And the question,
you just have about 3 minutes to wait.
I think I'm almost coming to an end. On the political activities, I will reiterate what the majority leader said about political players. Yes, some gangs are properly and fully utilized by politicians, 100%. If you saw some of the challenges we had in Kisii this weekend, courtesy of political activities in that area, you will see that both those who are campaigning and their competitors are mobilizing young people, including some of them have unique uniforms in light with the political side they support. And I think it is an area also we must work together to get rid of it. But we will, as we continue enforcing the law, I believe that the people of Kenya will support us even where the political leaders do not. I agree with Senator Lemaletian on the question of Samburu, Maralal. You know very well that we've done a lot in Maralal. We changed security recently, tried to bolster the security team, and the IG is working on, and it's not just Maralal alone, across the country, deploying more police officers, more agile, newly trained, as soon as we complete the current training in September, October. And I hope that this will help us. As you know, Samburu, we have various challenges. We are still dealing with bandits, and then we are told in town people are causing havoc, gangs and goons and mob justice in the town. I know you have asked me to pick my calls. I'm sure when I leave this chamber now, there will be a member of parliament or a senator who is complaining that I have not picked their calls. The nature of the job I do, Madam Speaker, is very, very, very busy. Between now and 1 a.m., I will still be working, and I'm expected to wake up the next day to do some work. So if when I do not manage to respond to your calls, there are channeled established procedures in the office, and I have come to establish that many people who come to my office, they will not leave their issues with the officers in the office. They just insisted that I wanted to see the cabinet secretary. If we can utilize the resources in the office, then they can be able to respond, like Senator Chutia said. Lastly, IBC, I think we will support IBC, and the National Police Service is ready to support IBC to make sure that political activities are done within the law. If I pronounce myself here that we are doing it on behalf of IBC, or we are banning public rallies, I think IBC should take the legal steps, and it is for us then to support them, whether it's policy from my office or the IG security-wise, to make sure that once they pronounce a certain gathering to be illegal, then it is for us to do the law enforcement. I thank you, Madam Speaker, and I look forward to coming here again. Thank you.
Honorable Senators, it's now 1:10 p.m. and having concluded the business for which I extended the hours of sitting pursuant to Standing Order 34-2A, the Senate stands adjourned until today, Wednesday, 25th February 2026 at 2:30 p.m.